I am Sunn. I am a Gullah Geechee advocate. There's a thing that happens when you have absolute unchecked authority. You no longer have to be clever. You don't have to be savvy anymore. It's obvious that Trump was behind this because Trump was ahead of it.
This woman went viral because she proposed to her boyfriend of 14 years.
For you as a woman to sit there and put yourself in a space to try to make a man do something that he already didn't want to do, because if he wanted to do it, he'd have asked you.
Ray J and his situation.
These antics tend to overshadow what he want to do.
Right.
And then turn around, here comes Thanksgiving, and then the same thing happens, you know.
Hey, welcome back to the Black Summit. I am Brooks.
And I am Hendrix.
I'm Veronica.
And today we have a special guest. Let the people know who you are and what you do.
I am Sunn. I am a Gullah Geechee advocate and ambassador of the culture and language.
Word. Well, it's great to have you on, and good to meet you. Haven't really met or anything,
No.
so
Yeah. I'm pleased to meet you as well.
See, I got to bring culture here, y'all.
Yay.
That's right. Yeah. Let's keep the culture going. So, all right. Well, let's hop right into the topics here, guys. Today we're going to be talking about the White House. They have been shifting the blame over these Venezuelan attacks. A lot of people are calling it war crimes at this point, but they're trying their best to kind of shift it and change the narrative. Trump and Pete Hegseth just had a press conference talking about it, and so I'm gonna try to play a clip from that. So we'll be talking about that, but we'll also be talking about Ray J and his situation. Apparently, while he was on live stream, he pulled a gun on somebody. So we definitely have to talk about that. And then there's this woman who decided to propose to her boyfriend of 14 years, or fiance, whatever you want to call it. And well, I guess it would have been boyfriend at that point. So, and they actually had a couple of kids together, but it kind of brought up this conversation of like, should, women,
Good for her.
Propose, should
No.
women propose to men? So that kind of thing, so we'll be talking about that. And then there was this player. I actually don't really know his name, but
Right. That's irrelevant. That's how relevant he was.
right. This player came out and had something to say about Russell Wilson and Russell Wilson's Thanksgiving.
Right.
We just had Thanksgiving.
Right,
So
right.
we're going to talk about that, and his comments that he had to say about Russell Wilson. I'll play the clip for that as well. But yeah, so first we're going to talk about what's going on with the White House. I'm going to play this clip, and this will kind of bring us up to speed on what's going on.
Is facing huge backlash from both Democrats and Republicans, something that's not normal during the Trump era, over the Department of Defense's strikes on alleged Venezuelan drug boats. You may have seen the videos that the department and other officials like Trump and Hegseth have posted online of these strikes, but a new significant report from the Washington Post is raising alarms about potential violations of international law and even potential war crimes being committed.
So today, they've been talking about shifting the blame. They've been talking about this admiral, apparently, who actually ordered the strike. So they've been talking about that, to kind of trying to shift the blame. But like this video said, both sides are kind of coming after them and saying, yo, what's going on? Because if it's true, it sounds like it's a war crime. So, but they just had a press conference, and I want to play this clip real fast.
I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting.
Some notable comments from President Trump and Secretary Hegseth inside that cabinet meeting, as both of them said they were not aware about that second strike on the alleged drug boat, a second strike that has now become the source of a huge point of controversy here in Washington and is also at the center of those accusations of potential war crimes committed by this administration.
All right. So there you go. So, you see that they're trying to shift it and try to say that they're not really involved with what's going on. Hendrix, what do you think about this story?
What happened to due process? You know, I think Pete Hegseth, I think he did call for the attack on that boat, and also too, I think it's typical male bravado when they get a little bit of power, when they get drunk with power, and then he called for the attack on them. So I don't know what happened to due process, because didn't some people said that some of them were fishermen and their family members got unalived, so they and then they had some type of deal with what is that, Argentina? Venezuela, because then they give them some money and something's going. So it's a lot of backdoor dealings going on with this administration. But trust and believe, if it comes out and somebody got to take the fall, they're gonna throw Hegseth under the bus. Both sides. He gonna be the fall guy. He gonna be the scapegoat. Trust and believe. That's definitely coming down the pipe.
Okay, Veronica, what do you think?
Just like Hendrik said, like one of the things people got to understand, because when I was in the military, I worked for NATO. So I worked in the higher up with all of us, allies and coming together. And there is no order that comes down to these admirals that wasn't handed down from the Secretary of Defense.
Of course.
I said, then you got a whole administration that renamed it like we in a cartoon to, Department of War. You know what I'm saying? And so those strikes were carried out on their orders. And it's always a shift of blame. This whole administration, they talk broad, they shift blame, that's what they do. So they're already patented because of the backlash that they can get from the UN, all of these stuff for war crimes, they're trying to cover themselves. And if we want to go back, remember during the Afghanistan war, when you had Bush and the whole Congress passed, the Republican side passed a law where they couldn't get charged for war crimes, but the military that took the orders got charged. So you had a lot of military people that went to jail because of orders that they did on behalf of our government telling them what to do. So if you think that's not about to happen now with a lot of military people, and we haven't seen a kilo of coke floating in the water yet, you know what I'm saying? But somehow we was bombing all this for drugs because believe it's either oil, it's either money involved, because we gave this country money. We have their politicians talking good about what Trump is doing. I was like, Venezuela ain't even no big drug producing country. So how are we over here bombing 20 airstrikes now? Remember, we didn't even get Congress to okay this. So Congress is trying to cover their butt. They're all trying to make sure they don't get charged for war crimes.
It's like a Reagan and Oliver North situation.
It's Hegseth and Trump blowing their own horns.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sunn?
Well, I think this is, first of all, not a surprise because Trump ran on this. So this isn't the first time he said that he wanted to execute so-called drug dealers. So I think that the idea that they would use drug dealers as the reason that they're doing this isn't new. That was just a setup. That's how he was going to use to line them up. Definitely oil. It's not the drugs. Definitely the natural resources of Venezuela. And I believe there was another brother. I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head. It was another admiral.
It was Bradley. I think so, because Bradley's the one they're trying to throw under the bus.
And he was like, yo, my name Bennett and I ain't in it.
Yeah.
Put it off on
I'm
him.
out. Holla at your boy that's left behind, the patsy that they left behind. And but at this point, sure, it might stop at Hegseth if they let it get that high, but it's obvious that Trump was behind this because Trump was ahead of it. He'd already made it clear what he wanted to do. He supported it. Everybody was tweeting about it. It wasn't a big secret. But my thing is there's another part to this that's not really being mentioned, which is I think that if you can, first of all, make something questionable. If I burn down this studio and you say, that might be arson. I don't know. I mean, we're looking into it, investigating it. The fact that I can get you to say that it might be is already a win.
Right.
And so the fact that they're creating a gray area where there used to not be a gray area concerning as it pertained to the Geneva Convention, it used to not be a gray area. It was very clear. This is a war crime. But I think that they want to take this domestic. Yeah. I don't think it stops in international waters. I think that if they are able to get away with executing, so-called drug dealers without due process in open waters, it's just a matter of time before. Because remember, he said he wanted police officers to have immunity, even if they had committed murder. I think that those two decisions come together to create some really draconian stuff right here on on American
So
soil.
you think it's eventually going to hit the streets?
Yeah.
It's
think
possible. Anything's possible.
I mean, I think we're close to it already.
Especially
You know,
with the National Guard situation. Things like
yeah, we're close to it.
He's seeing how far he can push because
Right.
you let the stuff go in California, and then he said, "Oh, now let me push it to D.C."
Yeah.
And then you let the stuff go in D.C. Oh, now let me push it to North Carolina.
Right.
And it was always these excuses that I was like, okay, we were supposed to be going after gang members, but I ain't see no gang members popping off yet at ICE.
Yeah, I
Right.
think it's just a situation of gross. I don't know. It's just. I mean, I think.
gross negligence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
definitely,
Say what it is.
definitely. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and this is the second time, y'all.
Yeah, yeah.
Pete Hegseth, remember, was the one that took those, plans of war and put it in a group text.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, don't
Yeah.
forget about that.
On Telegram.
All right, like, so this is the second time that he's done something that just shows, that he's not very smart at all.
definitely.
And I think that, he's one of those people. I mean, just the way he gets up and talks. I mean, even at the press conference, I mean, he just looks like he doesn't know what he's doing.
But that's why they were hired.
Yeah,
But I think that's a flex of absolute power, the ability to be unintelligent
Yes.
and still get your way. There's a thing that happens when you have absolute unchecked authority, is you no longer have to be clever. You don't have to be savvy anymore. Like during of the mini strikes of Israel against Gaza, people were saying, how could they be so bad at propaganda? Like, we don't understand. Like the whole, there's a book, you just happen to have a clean copy of Mein Kampf found in a room, and the binder is clean. There's no
dust.
there's no dust on it. Like, come on, this is obviously bad. Like, they're lifting big boulders with one hand that are obviously props from a film or something like that. And they're like, why is this superpower so bad at propaganda? And low key, they're showing you, I don't even have to try because there's nothing you can do anyway.
Yes.
And so, sure, is Hegseth the sharpest knife in the drawer? No. But neither is Donald Trump. And neither is anyone else in that administration. They are all failing upward, and there's nothing you can do about it. They're getting people confirmed in Congress, and there's nothing you can do about it. I think that's a part of their power play, is that I get to be the emperor in his new clothes, and none of you will say that I'm naked.
Yeah. Two quick points to iterate what he said too. Like, you was in the Air Force, I was in the Army. I see it all the time with the bravado of the white male, and you give them power. And y'all might see it on the street from white cops. And it's the same thing, just sitting at a higher office.
Right.
You give them a little power, and some of these sergeants, they before us, but they weren't the brightest. And you can kind of tell they weren't, like he said, the sharpest knife in the drawer. They just got this rank, structure, and then they just know to execute certain orders, right? And then the second point is, normally when you have a detail like this dealing with foreign, and foreign, right? Aren't you supposed to take a page from a bomb book? When they went after bin Laden, you go into the situation room behind closed doors with your top, and you sit there, and then you calling the shots over, but then now Trump is saying, "Oh, I don't know, I got to check."
Yeah.
I'm like, you the commander in chief.
But it's deniability.
Exactly.
Plausible deniability,
And that's just what I said too. So if somebody got to go down, it's gonna be either Hegseth or y'all say this Admiral dude.
Right.
Because normally you be in a situation room to oversee what's going on, and you have visual to see what's actually happening.
Right.
And I didn't hear none of that with this
And
administration.
I hate to throw it into the equation, but remember when Ronald Reagan, whenever they would ask him about his knowledge of a particular thing that happened, he was like, "Well, I don't recall,
Because
or
it was
I
Bush.
don't know."
It was Bush.
And it would say that, I don't know. Well, as it turns out, it wasn't just him covering for his fall guy. He had diminished capacity. Ronald Reagan did. And they allowed him, they did this
Same thing
weekend
with
at Bernie thing with Reagan for a long period of time at the end of his administration. And, word on the street, you ain't heard this from me, but I think we're 100% dealing with diminished capacity with Donald Trump. And sometimes when he says he doesn't know, he quite literally doesn't.
He really doesn't
know.
And that may very be the case.
And I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head, but there's a creator, a guy who's actually a doctor who works with Alzheimer's patients, people with dementia patients, and he keeps a weekly update on, first of all, how long Trump has to live.
With the white dude?
Yeah.
And he posts on
With the
social media.
glasses.
Yes,
Yeah.
I see. I know exactly what you're talking
that's
about.
amazing.
And he
He's
goes,
diagnosing him.
and if you're someone who's been in close proximity or with someone who has Alzheimer's or dementia, you and people who have had strokes, you recognize it before nobody has to tell you. You can see it. You can see it. And I think that that's kind of what's happening right here now is that the rats are running the asylum.
Because it's like, why are you such in a rush to do all these things? Because someone made a point before. They said, I don't know how long dude got because he's in a rush to
But
do
not even
all
with
these
him,
things.
because it's a distraction too. Because think about it, if you're agents of chaos and I have 50 fires going, you won't even see the one main fire
main
that's
thing
coming
that's
to take
going on.
everybody out.
Right.
So this is what you're seeing, because the fact that you bypass Congress to literally do
That's what I'm
airstrikes,
saying, to do
the fact that you bypass Congress and you're talking about this stuff on Telegram, you don't have any checks and balances. Their whole thing this year has been getting rid of organizations like the Consumer Fraud Board, EPA, all these things that have checks and balances. So when you're looking at Trump is not there because he ain't important. He's a distraction.
It's a figurehead,
And then you put all the mediocre, all the unskilled labor who just glad to be picked. And they're making all decisions from Norm to Bondi. All of these people right now, you got in Florida, they're trying to question her credentials and get her disbarred.
Right.
I said, so you have all of these things, like what happened with Comey and Lady New York.
The sister from
The sister New York. You see how the judge was like, you shouldn't even have been appointed because Trump disappointed you. So they're rushing these things as a distraction because a lot of it's going to get kicked back from lower courts. So either go to the Supreme Court or you're so busy distracted by cutting Department of Education, cutting these different things. To now you're like, oh, well, what's going on with Hegseth? It's in our face. That's the only reason we're talking about
Steve Bannon said it. They are flooding the zone. He said the quiet part out loud. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to flood the zone, throw everything
at it. Make you so tired you can't even focus.
I also think that the reason why they're moving so fast is because this is looked at as okay, he only has 4 years. This is that term. So they're going to try to do everything they can, not only to push their agenda, but also probably try to get him reelected.
Get him reelected.
Right.
So
I think that they're also doing there's two things. Like anything that has been done can be undone.
Yes.
Okay. The fact that you had to pass new laws in order for there to be an abolishment of slavery, even though you kind of left a little loophole in there. If it can be done by way of process, it can be undone by way of process. So don't get the game twisted and think that there's anything that's so sacred that we can't return to it or do something new that we've never seen before. And so I'm sure that they haven't considered this, but if you did open a door for a former president to be able to run for president, again, that would also open a door for, say, someone like Barack Obama, who would absolutely drag him, for filth in an election. It would not even be close if it was Trump versus Obama in an election. But then you have to make that fateful decision. Do we play their game? Like, do we run Obama knowing fully well that we really shouldn't be running another president again for another term?
Because you're going against the Constitution altogether.
But see, now I got you playing my game. They got you playing their game now.
I know, but I'm like, play that bitch and burn the board. So I'm sorry, because the thing, when you look at it, it's like, he's never going to lose against a woman, even if he's sitting in a bed shaking like Weekend and Bernie's.
Right.
It's sad to say we live in such misogyny. I said, so you're going to have to play a man against him, and you're going to have to play a man that can beat him. And no matter what, right now, if all these white people right now in the dumpster fire, that's what's going to let them vote for the black dude that they didn't like the fact that he did a good job. Because they're all getting choked out. That's the only reason they're going to vote. And they're going to overwhelmingly, he's going to look like, what was the dude, Kennedy and Nixon. Right. And that's how and he said worse. So that's the whole thing. It's like, that's why in my mind, I was like, they're not going to open that door. They're setting it up. And Vance isn't even going to do a good enough job to be the second pick.
Yeah, they're looking past Vance.
He's a puppet.
So they're trying to find somebody else they can groom in this Republican Party, but they don't have anybody right now. And they're not going to have anybody, not with Trump being the overlord, so to speak, of the whole thing.
Who do the Dems have?
Your boy from
California.
Yeah.
Newsom.
I think Newsom would be a good
played
pick.
the game.
Newsom's playing the game well too.
You know how to get dirty.
But I mean, Cory Booker just got married
Okay, yeah,
And,
man, let that go.
I think a lot of people were like, okay, he's trying. You know, he's trying to
Come
make
on,
it
man.
happen.
Cory Booker grew out his beard. But I'm saying that.
That lavenderish.
You know, but the thing about it is, and I'm glad you brought that up, because here's the thing. We're talking about Trump did this, the administration did that, like all of these things that they did, okay? But what we haven't mentioned is one thing that the Dems did to stop any of it.
Right.
And I think this starts with the base, is I think that the Democrat base has to stop being so delicate and so protective and defensive about their politicians.
I agree.
And I'm going to say something that might be controversial at the table. And I think that should have started when it was Biden passing on his to Kamala.
Yeah.
Okay. And a part of the reason that it was important to scrutinize Kamala was unconventionally thinking she doesn't have a win that she can use as momentum. Donald Trump had a so-called win, but they were going to try to primary him. Then, of course, he beats everybody. And each time someone would fall off and lose, they would give their votes over to Trump. Like it it had this appearance of him winning his bid. With Kamala, Biden just waited until the last possible moment, kneecapped her, glass cliffed her, and put a shelf over her head. You raise all of this money out of the blue, and by the time the election is over, you're in debt.
Yeah.
So how do you raise a record amount of money and you're in debt by the time the election pulls up, and you haven't given her a win to run on? The whole strategy was, well, that guy's worse. We know that guy's worse. We've known that for years. Like that's not new news. We know that. And so when you have people who are saying, but don't say anything, don't say nothing, no kind of critique or nothing. But what if you are running and you're doing things in a way that I'm like, hey, here's how you activate your base. Now, don't trot out Liz Cheney and try to get these racist white women to vote for you. That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. But here's what your base wants. And so what I'm about to say, I want you to, I'm gonna just go ahead and cut straight to the chase. What I'm about to say, Kamala ended up echoing. But people like myself who said it at the time before Kamala would admit it, were accused of, if you want Trump to win, just say that. That's what Kamala said. If you want Trump to win, just say that. Yeah. Because at the time they're saying, well, people are not really feeling the whole thing happening in Gaza. People are not feeling the cop city in Atlanta. They're not feeling. There's a list of things with Joe Biden being the law and order president. We're not feeling that. We need you to just show a little more pushback, a little something. Vice president doesn't have any power. There's nothing she can do. Yet every speech she gives, she says, Joe and I have been working on this. So either y'all working on it together or you ain't working on it together. We had Dick Cheney, who's one of the most consequential VPs in the history of VPs, and now, but all of a sudden the VP can't do anything. Right. And so when you come out after the fact,
George Bush Sr.
I lost over 3,000 followers in a day because there's two posts. One of which, a post I said, no, actually it's about closer to 4 or 5 if you consider both posts. The first post I said, it was as a type of speech technique that I use. I call it like the NBA coach, a speech technique where you speak in a circular manner. You respond to the question, but you never actually answer the question.
Like a politician.
And Kamala did that a lot. And it was so noticeable that even her own base would notice it, and it would become something that they would even joke about, comedians would joke about on SNL. And it was something that made you come across as lacking substance. And the opposition was exploiting it to make it seem like, oh, maybe she's not saying it because she doesn't know. But we know that it's a regular type of, circular talk that politicians use. So I said, okay, here's this type of speech. And here's the difference between giving a direct answer and just a circular sort of response. And then I used examples of all the politicians and not just, and I said, well, can you think of anyone who does this? No, without even mentioning her. We know you talk about copy. Okay, there's that one. Yeah. The next one, I came back and said, where's the urgency? If you ran, you call that man the new Hitler.
Yeah.
That's what you said. You said that he was a fascist. That's what you said. You said this was the end of democracy as we know it if he gets elected. That's what you said. These are all the hyperbolic things that they said. Now he's elected, Biden in the office, shaking his hand, welcome back. The first picture that you put out in public is you playing Connect 4 drinking wine on the floor with your nieces. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. And it's good that you have rest and relaxation. Wonderful. But you just said that a fascist got elected and the house is about to burn down and it's the end of democracy as we know it. So who is this picture for?
Well, for them, they're just playing politics at the end of the
Right.
day.
That's it.
But the problem was Biden saddled you with his team.
Yeah.
His team that didn't want you on the ticket in the first place. So take a wild guess what's going to happen when you go off on that vacation to Hawaii when there's the transition happening. Exactly what I knew would happen. Biden's teams went on every podcast and anyone with a hot mic who'd listen and said it's Kamala's fault.
Yeah.
She didn't break away from Biden's policy. She was the one who didn't want to, basically do what he had ordered. And at the same time, Kamala ended up coming back in her book having to defend herself saying,
Yeah.
nah,
That's
let me tell you
exactly
what
she did.
actually happened.
Yeah.
And what she said actually happened is what we had been saying the whole time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we losing followers getting called sellouts for calling out the thing that Kamala ended up saying was the truth the whole time.
So they got to break away from that old Democratic regime. That stuff just doesn't
But
work.
see, but that's the
But
problem. It's like
people always
they,
just love her, though.
When I
if
when
you
I
say
told,
anything against her, I noticed that. Like,
no,
people
but
will
we
come
would say
after
that.
you.
But even the
So-
thing with the Democrats, and she fell for it too, was even like years ago when I was telling them when Trump first ran, we were sitting at the Democratic women's event in Charlotte, and I said, "Look, y'all got to come out heavy. You got to come out defending. You got to come out throwing every bit at them, pointing out who they are. All of this. Oh, our base would turn against us.
Right.
That's not what they want. They really think Democrats are sitting here worrying about their morals and high value to the level of you. Like this perfect politician only exists in Democratic people's mind.
Right.
The Republicans, like, I will slit your throat. I'm not saying you got to play
Right.
dirty enough to do that. What I'm saying is you call a spade a spade.
Right.
Like how we grew up. Because if she would have said, I don't agree with Biden with
Right.
Gaza. I don't agree with Biden with this right here. But he
Right.
has the final say. That would have taken her a farther way, especially when they sold you out waiting the last
Right.
4 months
Yeah.
of the election
Right.
and everything else. Is like she fell in line. And like you said, she had to come back in the book. Because people are like, why is she saying it now? And I said, because she kept her mouth shut
Right.
when she should have said it.
Didn't she come out in an interview and they asked her, what would you change? She said, I wouldn't change a thing.
She was instructed to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She-
she
So
did
I
it. She
heard
was,
her too.
And people were saying that her team messing her up. People was like, her team is messing her up.
they didn't know that her team was his
It was
team.
his
Yeah.
team.
that she
Exactly.
inherited.
Because she didn't even have time to put a team together because they saw and dead at 4 months before. So it was like, oh, so now we just gonna shift all of it to you. And she raised all of that money and still managed to flip seats that you never would have thought to flip. So imagine if you actually would have did your job a year before that.
And I can guarantee you there's somebody out here who's going to listen to this, who's going to watch this conversation and be like, these four dudes, these
Exactly.
four niggas,
Yeah.
they coons.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a bunch of coons.
Well,
And the
get
critical
this.
thinking, the ability to think
Yeah.
critically about something,
Yes.
and it's not only a lost art, but it's like you have to consider your opposition.
yeah.
There's a phrase, I don't know if it's here, but it's certainly I first heard it in Tennessee where they were saying Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line.
Yeah. Yep.
They don't have to like whoever it is.
Exactly.
Wasn't there a woman who, and I'm not laughing at her condition, but I'm saying there was a woman who was in a facility. She had dementia, like Alzheimer's. She didn't know who she was or where she was. She still had her job as a Republican. She was still collecting a check for like six.
Kind of like Strom Thurmond.
Yeah, for like 6 to 8 months. This lady was still
Yeah.
on the
Yeah, I know
committee
you're talking about.
collecting a check, and the Republicans knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Strom Thurmond,
'cause they
remember, he was
loyal-
losing
they-
his mind,
Yeah.
and they still kept. They was wheeling Strom Thurmond in to the meetings,
yeah.
and I was like,
Right.
these people don't care. They just worry about the win.
They loyal to a party, not people.
Yeah.
They're very loyal to their
And
party.
and you know the thing is, let's face it.
They loyal to self.
when you're dealing with people, because they'll say, "Oh, this is going against this person's interest or their own interest or whatever." I think that Trump has an understanding, and his people, they have an understanding of the populace, like the general populace, those who demand bread and circus versus those who demand change. When you're dealing with people who are really dealing with the issues, the actual issues, if you ask people right now, well, what's the biggest issues? They'll say, well, Trump promised lower grocery prices, and Kamala came after and said, no, we I got a plan that'll lower some grocery prices. The joke's on you because you can't actually lower grocery prices. The free market doesn't work that way. Stop promising stuff that you can't actually promise. It sounds good, it feels good, but you can't do that.
Yeah,
He's a liar.
of course.
And so you're trying to outmaneuver a liar and play his own game. And I did a talk at USC at the University of South Carolina, and I hope they was had enough street knowledge to work out the analogy that I use, but it's almost like a crack dealer running against an ice cream man. Okay, and so your thing is, these are two totally different products, two completely different ways, but you're now allowing the crack dealer to force you to sell ice cream like crack. Yeah. To promote it as if it's crack. To find out, like, that sugar ain't good for you either. It'll give you diabetes. It'll give you you're running on all the negatives of the thing that you sell in order to compete with these people finding the negatives over there appealing. So they're not voting against their own interests. Like, you do understand these people are racist, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, you know that they would take you down with them if need be. So the thing that you're saying, these white women, you can vote and your husband won't know. It'll be our little secret. You think that these white women
Thank you.
are not voting for this stuff on purpose?
Because Hillary couldn't do it.
But how many times have we said that? We sat there, I said, they're not voting against their own interests. And when you start trying to do this savor narrative to try to say, no, maybe, he just needs a little more knowledge, a little more love, a little more moral understanding, a little more biblical hugs. That is a lie. They know exactly who they are, and they are willing to take you down with them. The reason we haven't had this, when people say, well, waiting on the jump off the protest, because black people are the ones that protest. White people fold like a trapper keeper. Yeah. That's just it. They are not going to move unless we move. That's the only way white people are going to really do the damage that we thinking should be done, unless we move. Because all they know is they might have their foot in my ass, but they got their foot on your neck. Right. You see, so I can still breathe, and they're going to look out for me a little more than they look out for you. So they aren't voting. And I think we need to stop that, because that hinders us with our understanding of the politicians, is we're trying to give people understanding who already got it. They do not care.
Well, and also as social issues, when they have social issues in our mouth like a hook. If you see early on that they're banning face coverings, okay, which was a rule that was around for the Ku Klux Klan. It was originally, so that the Klan wouldn't be able to walk around in public with their hoods on. But they're now starting to ban face coverings right after they mandated face coverings, by the way, with the pandemic. Now they're starting to ban face coverings. They're now starting to ban certain public assembly. Like, all of the things that they were doing individually that they were banning, you think that's for like the Proud Boys or whatever. Like, no, now you can't protest. All of the things that they needed to basically kneecap protests after the fact started falling in place one by one. But all they had to do to get the black voting base, many of whom are evangelicals, was just dangle out there transgender people.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Just dangle some social issue out there. Yeah. We were willing to have black boys have increased engagement with police officers when they had the sagging ban. Black people were the ones who actually proposed those sagging laws because, we don't like to see anybody's underwear. Okay, well, we don't have to see their underwear when they're locked up in prison. Well, what are you talking about? And so, the same thing with the shiesty. Like, we don't want them wearing the shiesty. Well, are they wearing the shiesty in the commission of a crime, or you just don't like it? You don't like the way it looks. And so we were using social issues as an excuse, being lured with social issues as an excuse to ignore some of the things that now turned out to be the groundwork that they laid for us to be in a predicament that we're in.
But they do. Yeah. Republicans do that all the time. Abortion, trans, gay rights, they dangle those.
And they usually the guilt. Every accusation is a confession.
Yep.
We have to move on. But let me just say this: what I understand everything that you guys are talking about, and this is a great discussion. I'm glad that we're going this deep on it. I feel like though, a lot of Democrats are starting to use Kamala kind of as a cop-out to kind of say, well, we told you so. You hear a lot of them saying that. Well, she has I told you so rights for the rest of her life. What is that going to do for you when you have to raise up the next person that's going to come up? It looks like it may be Newsom. It could be AOC. Some people were talking about progressives, right? Mom Donnie, like we see all these different movements and different things that are happening. But right now, they do need to fight, to go to y'all's points. Yeah. Like, they have to start fighting, and they need to start figuring out who their next person's going to be.
It's going to be Newsom.
You can't be looking at, because, right now I'm looking at the Republican, the Republican bench is deep. You got DeSantis, you got, J.D. Vance.
Is it though?
You got all these people.
Their thing is not as deep as you think. They don't have the base. They don't have the popular vote. So
you see Marjorie Taylor Greene just resigned. That looks like a little move there for 2028. So I'm just saying, you guys can laugh right now, but when you talk about the MAGA base, Because a lot of people were laughing at Trump running again in 2024.
But see, Trump had something.
But that
they didn't
MAGA
have,
base
that
is
popularity.
powerful. That MAGA base is powerful.
But that's why they kept bringing him back, because he was the popular one. They're not going to run Vance, but they be attacking Vance's wife alone. They don't even put him out there because Trump still carried the distraction. Marjorie ain't no woman in hell got a chance on the Republican Party of ever winning.
A lot of both Democrats and Republicans agree that the first woman president will be a conservative. So, but go ahead.
I believe to give Kamala credit where it's due, the election wasn't a blowout.
Yeah,
like it's not like she got blown out. I think that there were some moves that could have been made to close that gap and possibly even cross over for a win. I think that. Again, I don't want to portray her as being like a lamb in the wood. I don't want to infantilize her, but the realities are, when the person that you were supposed to replace, Biden, just was it weeks or months, probably weeks into Trump's new administration, he's got stage 4 cancer, cancer. You're telling me that a president who's it's your job to know his health.
Yeah, right.
You didn't know that.
She probably did, but they
didn't know about his decline.
They knew something about it.
And so
we could all see ourselves, but a lot of people didn't want to bring it up because it's kind of like
board
going
just got
against...
an MRI done. You think they don't know?
Right? They all know.
I mean, I think they know.
And so if they were willing to rally around, and it was early on when they said, there was one of the polls that I saw that was really interesting that actually ended up kind of bearing itself out. Is there was a lot of attention that was paid to how black men would vote, like the misogynist one, they're not going to vote for a black woman or whatever, how that would vote. But the one that was not really being paid attention to is there was a poll that said like 17% of the black women who were polled had said that if Kamala Harris was the nominee, they weren't going to vote for her. These are Democrats. They weren't going to vote for her. There was a class issue. Even when it came to like people who were part of like sororities, and there were women who were like, nah, we're blue collar, we're not really with that. There was the evangelicals. There was the
religious ones.
Who were saying that they wouldn't vote. Now, take a look at Hillary Clinton's margin. Like what was the black male and female, just black altogether, vote for Hillary Clinton versus Trump? That margin got smaller when it was Biden and Kamala versus Trump. So Trump got more of the black male and female vote than Hillary did, than versus Hillary. That's a white woman. Okay. Then when you look at the numbers against Kamala versus Trump actually made headway in both black male and female votes. Because remember when it was like, it was only 2%. It was like, it's only 6%. And then it's like, we're the 90%. Okay, but 90%, but that means that Trump is now up to 10%. Of the black female vote versus a black woman.
Do you think that's black hate? That shows black hate, or what do you think that shows?
I think that what's happening is sometimes, unfortunately, I think that good things is the worst thing that could happen to a group of people whose calling card up to this point has been the struggle. In fact, if you don't know nothing but the struggle, we'll unblacken you. You see what I'm saying? And so when people start doing well and people start identifying with success and wanting to identify with something other than the struggle story, sometimes they can be wooed into voting against their own collective interests.
Because I had people say that. They was like, she's elitist, like, now the intellectualism is the big attack, or she's this.
She was an elite.
Yeah. No, that's what
she is an elite.
And then I'm not even saying that, but that's not the problem. The problem is you're sitting there and say, my religious beliefs. I was like, but that one right there goes along with your belief. So I felt it was, and you still have women don't believe that a woman should be president.
Right. So well, there are women who believe a woman should be a pastor.
That's it. You got women who believe that. So I had conversations with a lot of different ones, and I would just look at them as like, and that's why you ain't on my team.
Right. And I think that just the idea
quickly,
that
30 seconds.
The idea that you're still running off being the lesser evil when people are running trying to vote against evil, and your appeal is, well, I'm the lesser evil. Like, but I'm not trying to be voting for evil at all. Some people stayed home, and some people just voted for a wild card. They became the agents of chaos, hoping for anything other than the status quo to happen.
They just voted local. They didn't even vote national. They was like, I'm not even voting at all wrong because you didn't show me what was the benefit.
Absolutely.
That's what we was like, what's the benefit of it? Like, we can look at it and read and study, but majority of people, they tired, they burnt out, they living life.
Right.
Oh, what's
All right, we got to talk about Ray J. All right, so
this a quick one.
that was a good discussion. I wish we could make the whole podcast this, but yeah. So all right, let's talk about Ray J. So Ray J, over the Thanksgiving break, apparently his I guess his ex-wife or his child's
they
kid,
divorced.
I think they're definitely separated.
Yeah, no, they separated. I think they separated.
For some reason, she came over for Thanksgiving, and because they were saying that these guys have been very contentious.
Right.
Their relationship has been very contentious.
She came over so they can spend time, because he asked her to spend time together with the child for Thanksgiving. So that's why she agreed to come over, because she made sure people knew that after all of this happening.
And apparently a fight broke out, and then Ray J goes and starts a live, and then there's a cousin that comes over.
He said to defend himself.
And Ray J decides to pull out a pew-pew, okay? Right. And he starts threatening people. So he was arrested, but he got out, $50,000 bond or something like that. Right. And I do want to play this clip of him just talking about what he thought happened in the situation.
Listen, I'm going to say this because I'm not going to let the story go to where it don't supposed to go. You in my house. We having an argument. All right? We grown-ups. If you want to leave, leave. The kids is upstairs sleeping in my bed. You want to go upstairs and take the kids, wake them up into this grown-up argument, which shouldn't have happened. Instead of letting them sleep, you want to snatch her and take her with you. Then you got a dude coming in my bedroom where my kids is asleep, and they're trying to get in my bed and take my kids because all of y'all are drunk. Y'all can't drive with these kids drunk. I'm not letting that happen. This dude is coming in my room, getting in my bed to take my kid. I'm going to defend my kids.
All right, so that's kind of what he had to say. A lot of people are going back and forth on this online. Veronica, what are your thoughts on?
Well, I did a little research. Y'all know I don't even check for this stupid type of stories. But when I research stuff, I want to make sure I know that. So I looked at, when I looked at Princess Love, that's her name. Yeah. And so she was saying they went over there. They were trying to spend time with the kids because he asked, "Do you want to have a holiday with the children?" So she's like, that's the only time she wants to be around him is for their children. Because she's a good mother. So she was like, the issue started was because he had this woman there that he had on the Breakfast Club before. And he was like, nah, that's not really my gal. We just whatever. Yeah. And so she was like, the kids said they had seen them two naked together. So told their mom this, right? So Princess was already pissed about the thing. And then we got the woman over here doing Thanksgiving and is adding to it. So they said, she was like, I'm taking my kids because Ray J apparently was drunk. He had already pulled the pew-pew. That's why she told her brother-in-law to go get her children. And so when you see him, he went on live. He said, I went on live to try to defend myself to make sure. But I'm like, if the court used the live, you had the pew-pew. You was threatening the people. And the woman was like, you pull us on us. And he kept saying, no, because you and the brother-in-law said, dude, I'm trying to help you out. Just go ahead, give us the kids. He was like, well, you're drunk. And she was like, we're not driving. He was driving, the brother-in-law. Right. And so you hear all of this on the live. And I'm like, and you're coming back. I was like, this dude got issues. We've known it. We've seen it. And it's sad because people, they feed on that attention. Right. And so they're going to get it anywhere they can. And as long as people keep giving Ray J attention, he go to talk shows, he do all the stuff like that, Ray J is going to always be Brandy Low brother. You know what I mean? And that's the sad part about it. It's like, but these women get caught up with it. And so this is how that started. He went on live. He not messed himself up if he go to court because they can use that against him because now they pull everybody social on about stuff. And they got that on him. But I was like, I wouldn't have let my kids sit in that situation so I can understand it myself. Like, you try to do these things because I got divorced, but me and my ex weren't contentious like that. Plus, we know the rules. My ex knew I was straight up crazy about my children. So don't play that because and everybody. You know,
fool up.
And so he knew that about me. So he, I was like, don't bring no women around my kids when they were younger. I don't bring no dudes around your children, stuff like that. So when you have that, because why would the kids be able to see you? And you know what I'm saying? With the woman in the room, you got no locked doors. You got your kids walking around. So he said, this is he saying, she said, but she got the evidence with him putting his cell phone live. So Ray J just needs some help. Y'all stop giving this man attention.
Right. Son, what do you think?
I'm kind of landing on the last note is that we know we've seen Ray J in these relationships through reality TV.
Yes.
The thing that actually separated Ray J from being just Brandy's little brother was Kim K, the sex tape.
That's right.
And so, I mean, it's one of those, you go to the well one time too many. At some point in time, it runs dry. But what they don't tell you is like, but it doesn't run bone dry. You just start pulling mud up out the well, and hoping for the best. And I think that at this point in time, Ray J is not a man of his own making. Mm-hmm. I think that he's someone who's astute and has a keen understanding of what the people want. And if in the event that he can provide what the people want and try to be the controller of the chaos that has become his private life, because sometimes it gets away from you, he's going to do that. But I think that clearly there's a mental health and emotional aspect here that led to him and Brandy being estranged. Mm-hmm. So you got to remember, like even away from all of this, his own family, within his own family, there was estrangement there. That's not even for TV. That's not even for reality TV consumption. So there's clearly something that's happened here. So it's one of those, which one came first? Did the dysfunction come first, and then you decide to make good TV out of the dysfunction because it's what people want? Or did you decide to put yourself out there for the public and you discovered the dysfunction? Because there was, if I'm not mistaken, people getting handsy on the reality show as well.
She accused him. Yeah, she said that's what he does.
Right. And so to me, but if you don't get ratings, if you don't tune in when he's on the Breakfast Club, if the streams ain't getting views, as long as the people keep literally buying into it, he's going to keep on doing it. At some point in time, in absence of that, you have to get some help. Same thing with Kanye, same thing with, how many people that we know of in the black, at least in the, matter of fact, think in your mind right now.
Rap dysphoria.
Of the black popular celebrity, like if you take a scan of a black celebrity, people who tend to get the most views and get the most clicks or whatever, how many of those people have what, at the very least on the surface, appear to be like some mental health issues going on that are either untreated, many of whom, how long did we watch DMX deal with his childhood trauma and self-medicate on drugs before we watched that train crash in slow motion? It's not as though these things are not, like, what are we waiting for? Are we waiting for Ray J to finally shoot someone, to shoot himself? What is when can we finally say, okay, enough, and move on to some other form of education, not education, but entertainment? And I think that he's a reflection of our appetite.
It is. Yeah. He is. But
What do you
that's the
think?
sad part.
Yeah. I saw him previously on the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
He was just announcing this type of behavior, saying he's being tired of being known for this toxic, because even like you said, in Brandy, they were estranged, and she was telling him he needed to do better and things like that, and take your music career more serious, because he's planning on going on tour and things like that. And he said he had Raytronics and all these other things, but then he's saying these antics tend to overshadow what he want to do.
Right.
And then turn around, here comes Thanksgiving, and then the same thing happens, So I think, I don't know if it's some type of, it could stem from some type of mental thing or whatever. I think also too, it may, allegedly, it may stem from some type of narcotics use too, right? And also aside of the narcotics, I think he's getting endorphins off of this rush from social media, with these antics. Because like right now, these is what's paying the bill. For a long time, when we haven't heard anything from Ray J, you know how he's making money? He was hosting parties in Vegas and California. He was, because the music wasn't doing nothing, so then he got the reality show, right? These things with reality show, and known for running around with these women and things like that, right? And as they say now, they're crashing out. So then he was hosting a lot of show, parties in Vegas, getting picking up 100,000, 200,000 bag and things like that. So then he was, drugs, alcohol, these type thing, and or I guess what we call today crashing out, right? So, and he was just literally saying that he was trying to get away from this thing, and then he turns up and reverts back to the same thing
But
that he was.
Can he?
That's the question.
A better question is, will we let him?
Yeah.
Because remember when recently Kevin, he was crying about his brother.
Yeah.
And the only person in the room who actually got up and demonstrated empathy was Ray J, because he was going through it with Brandy. Right. And he pat him on the it was a little hard, but he pat him on the shoulder, and he said, "Thank you, Ray J," whatever, and that became a meme.
Yes.
They clowned Ray J for showing empathy, it was pat too hard. That became a running gag, a joke.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm crying about my brother and you come and do the same thing to me, for other people, because they may not know either of us and they just see two people, one showing consideration and compassion for the other. But because they were looking for the joke.
Right.
Even when you
Because
do
it's
something
him.
like show empathy.
Because they can't take Ray J serious.
Right.
That's why.
That's true too, because you don't know when he's serious or not being serious.
Yeah.
But I think he
when
can. He has to put forth the effort because right now
something needs to
there's a
happen.
big thing on mental advocacy for mental health.
Yeah.
Especially
So
for men.
he has to put forth the effort to say, no, look, I'm mental health. Then I think people will start to gravitate. You're still gonna have clowns looking for the antics. But he has to put forth the effort to say, look, no, my mental health is very important.
Regardless, I just hate to see it happen in public because I feel like this kind of stuff is happening all around. I
'Cause they're
mean,
putting
we
it
just
in
don't
public.
see it on
And
live.
so-
We don't see it
Yeah, they're putting
on,
it in
real
such a
time.
big stage, and the people usually aren't celebrities, and they're
Right,
not Ray
you do
J.
see
You know what I'm
it.
saying? Like, so I feel like this stuff is going on in a lot of households, and I think that's why some people are like entertained by it because they're like, oh well, this is happening to somebody.
And Ray J's not a
who's
child.
so big
Ray J's
at the-
like
at the
almost
time.
40-year-old
Right,
man.
but I think that's the thing is we got a Ray J in our family.
Keep it
But
going.
another little side thing I noticed, y'all heard about Ray J was suing Kim K and
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and it kind of makes you think like while you may have been thinking like, man, Ray J's a genius the way he spun this whole thing and kind of flipped what should have been a career, well, somewhat career ending event. And it's like, but wait a minute, but are you really like the puppeteer, or are you the puppet in this scenario?
Same thing with
Well,
Kanye. We
I mean,
give
it's
Kanye
kinda-
like credit for being the puppeteer.
It's kind of hard to tell because I mean he might just be doing that just to make money off of that situation.
Because the attention is going to
you know
come.
that family's worth billions of
But he ain't
dollars,
gonna
now.
get no
But they
money.
weren't at
multi-billion.
yeah
But
at
he's
the
not gonna get no
time.
money on that.
Yeah, at the time.
But I mean the reason why he's suing now.
Yeah, but he's not gonna get any money. You
Okay.
can't say I made you. I ain't got no contract with Sunn. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's why I can sue him if he made money. We had a contract. We got a sex tape that he
Right.
decided, or who her mama decided. That's like they couldn't see that see that happening like that. He ain't get no money.
Well, I think he's trying to get sued for
defamation.
the non-disclosure. Like they
Non-disclosure.
violated the non-disclosure.
Yeah, defamation.
Like nobody was supposed to talk about it. Then they ended up talking about
Like,
it.
because when did you sign
That's-
it? When we was in bed
that's-
with me?
that's-
When did
that's-
we sign the NDA?
Well, you know,
when
Chris orchestrated that whole thing.
yeah,
Yeah, when they made the deal with Vivid.
Okay, quickly.
Yeah, she orchestrated the whole thing, and then then Ray J said that they said, "Well, we didn't like this. So y'all go do it again."
Yeah.
So they had to go.
It was wild. Yeah, it was wild.
But
So-
think
so
about
he
it.
sued
You
for the
did that
defamation.
again. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. But you, if I'm in court, you decided as a grown man to go cut, part 2 of this sex tape because the lighting was off. You know,
Right.
you couldn't diddy it. And the lighting was off and all this stuff. That means you were part of the agenda for
Right,
this.
of course.
And so for you to come and sue it, to me, it's like an attention seeking. Like when we were dealing with Kanye, and I said, black love wasn't enough for Kanye, and he literally drove himself crazy trying to seek validation from other people. Ray J is driving himself crazy to seek that same validation.
Yeah, I
Because
think you're right about but one thing though, I think in this case it may be validation, but it's about that bread.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
If he
about
can
the
get
money.
some.
I mean, they're worth like altogether probably worth like
yeah.
almost $5 billion, right? Or
Yeah, I think the
'Cause
violation.
the daughter is like worth $1 billion by herself. The young one,
two of them, yeah.
So two of them are worth
Kim and,
you
The
know,
valuation
so,
of stocks.
yeah, I
Kim
mean,
and
like,
Chloe.
so maybe they're 3 or 4 billion. Like,
Yeah,
you
that's what
know,
they say.
So
Yeah, about to say that's what they say. They ain't on
that's
no
what the mouth
Forbes.
say.
They ain't on
Might
no
be a little
Forbes.
less.
They ain't on no Forbes, so they ain't no billionaires. They ain't
Right.
on no Forbes.
All right, well, let's talk about women proposing to men.
Lord. Ain't
Okay,
that
there was a
Brandy's
woman
brother? Ain't
that
that
went
Brandy's brother?
viral. This woman went viral because she proposed to her boyfriend of 14 years. He had never said anything. They had a couple of
14
kids.
years.
Right.
And she literally like got down on the knee. I don't know if you saw the video. I should have.
She did
didn't
it
see it.
on video.
I think she did. Let me
got
see
on
if I
one
can
knee.
find the clip just to show
Girl,
you guys.
just burn it.
Yeah,
Just burn
she-
your, just
she,
burn your damn
uh,
pride.
But you know, it's kind of bringing up this like conversation of like, okay, is it okay to kind of do that? I mean, we are in 2025. The
We could be in
dynamics,
3,000.
the dynamics of relationships have changed. Women are making a lot more money. They're working. They're doing all these different things. Like the thing of like marriage, getting down on one knee, is kind of an antiquated idea, right? I mean, it's not really something. But here's the video. Let me see. I think this is the.
Oh, she did it on video.
Yeah, she did it on video. Oh, she posted this.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's getting a lot of publicity from this. Did she get? I think they're Hispanic.
Yeah.
So let me see. Hold on.
And you see, I got him in the video though. You see, he just did his hand like this, ain't even show his face.
Oh, maybe she didn't get down on her knee.
She didn't.
Somebody did an AI photo. That's what happened.
I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed.
But yeah,
you know,
like
Chrissy did that to
showing
Jim
it.
Jones on the
Yeah.
reality show.
Yeah.
She bought a ring and
Yeah.
proposed to him too. She did it to Jim Jones.
All right, so what do you think?
No.
You lead
Let's
this one.
let
No.
Okay.
No.
You
Veronica?
elaborate on that?
Yeah,
or?
elaborate
Yeah,
on
I'm
that.
elaborate. I'm elaborate. And and this, even though people can look at it as antiquated because we're talking about traditions, like what it's saying, more a patriarchal, matriarchal, whatever. I say, but when you look at the hard wiring neurologically of men and women, men are made to be hunters, women are made to, in a way they say prey. I'll just use, for lack of a better word, that we're using. Do you understand? Even the most feminist man feels emasculated by that woman seeking and getting down on the knee to ask him. Men are very straightforward. Men make a decision, they go do it. Man says, I'm drinking that orange juice, I'm drinking that orange juice. They're very linear with their thought process. So for you as a woman to sit there and put yourself in a space to try to make a man do something that he already didn't want to do, because if he wanted to do it, he'd have asked you already. 14 years, you should have been gone. But that was your choice, because she said, I wanted to get married. When I watched the video, she was like, I wanted to get married, and he wants to be with me forever because he's lazy. So sometimes what I mean by lazy is this. So this is what I love about men. Men gonna tell you exactly who they are, straight up, even unless they narcissists or whatever. But women will create their whole fantasy about it. I know women who are dating men right now, and the man told them, hey, I ain't trying to get remarried. I'm trying to be single. I'm trying to chill. Oh, I understand. That's all I want too. I just want, just chill and be together. They hoping you one day open your eyes and say, oh my God, she's the best thing moving. Let me marry her. Instead of they believed what you told them. Right? So that's why you have to go in authentically. I'm not telling you women to go date, and every time you get on a date, you think about marriage. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying go out and date and have fun. But once you see that date is progressing to where you're talking to the same dude 2-3 months and y'all decide to be monogamous with one another.
Right. Fully
into it. Then you need to let him know, hey, because he should know that, having discussions with you. If you have to get down on your knee and ask the hunter to damn eat you, that's a problem, because he is going to have in his head, I'm emasculated, this woman asked me. That man is never, in my opinion, fully mentally and emotionally committed to being yours, because you had to take him to a covenant. And this is not, while we touching on this real quick, I am so tired of people saying, oh, these men don't get married to these women, or they just live with these women, because they don't understand covenant. Men do. That's why they're not doing it. Men know I can live with you, because how many celebrity men you hear say, oh, she my best friend. She got my bank account. She in my will. I'm taking care of her. Then why don't you marry her? Because those men know the importance of that covenant. It's harder for me to break if I'm cheating or if I want to walk away that marriage versus me just saying, hey, here, little 50,000, we was living together, bounce up out my mansion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Men know the covenant, and I'm tired of people acting like men don't. It's the reason they're not marrying you. It's because they know that covenant. And they like, okay, because men will get in that covenant and they will stay in it even when that woman does not love them, when that woman treating them like crap. How many men we all know right now in marriages with women who don't love them, don't care about it, but men will die in it because patriarchal taught them that. You're supposed to take the room. So for me, a woman asking a man to marry him, it's not about feminism. It's not about just being 2025. It's about the mentality that comes with men and the mentality that comes with women. Women want to be treated. Women want to say, I picked you. Women want to say, I was chosen through this love, and me and this man chose each other. Men will walk away from you. Men leave, in my opinion. If it's a bad marriage, men leave mentally first, physically second. Women leave mentally first, physically second. Men leave physically first. They'll go cheat before they leave mentally. I think women should not ask men to marry them, not out of traditions and feminism and all this other stuff like that, because you're dealing with a person who is very decisive. That's why I feel about it.
Okay.
And I can say a lot more stuff, but I was like,
Go for it.
I'm trying to let y'all talk, because I was
Yeah,
like,
Sunn.
don't you do it, sis. You better break
Sunn.
your kneecaps.
Let's get
What do you think about
Like-
this?
All right.
Come on, nigga, this gonna be
Let me
good.
get a couple chews on this gum real quick. I think there's a few ways of looking at it. And if I'm looking at it from I can't look at it from the perspective of a woman, because obviously I'm not a woman. But if I look at it from the perspective of, say, a father, a brother, son, like if in proximity to a woman, and that person came to me and said, hey, I'm thinking about asking my partner of X amount of years to marry me. I don't think a decision like that comes from out of the blue, with the exception of people who want to be married. Not want to be married to you, they want to be married, period, first and foremost. And now it's just a question of who am I going to put in that slot? Some people want to marry marriage. And so if you are someone for whom marriage is imperative to you, you have the option of meeting someone and upfront saying, hey, I'm dating to marry. And I got time, but I ain't got forever. So this is my time. If you set those perimeters up front, either he gonna do the thanks but no thanks, bless you, Godspeed with that, or he's gonna play along. At some point in time, he either gonna need to get you that ring, which might be a dummy ring to kind of buy himself some time. You set that engagement, but you got time for the engagement as well. Oh no, you can propose after 2 years, but we got like 8 months after that proposal to get married. Any excuse that you can do that. It may seem and for men, sometimes they're like, oh man, you took out all the surprise. You took away. Man, I was gonna propose, but you telling me I got to do it up front like that. Take all the suspense out of it or whatever. So if you are the marrying kind, if you want to get have kids, do the whole nine. If you say that up front, lay your cards out on the table, structure that relationship in a way that is going to work towards that goal. That's not technically asking him to marry you, but you are setting the prerequisite that is the end conclusion. That's where you're ultimately going. Right. If in the event that you didn't do all that, I'd be curious to know how old the kids were. Like they were together for 14 years and they had some kids. Like, are the kids 15 or are they 14?
See,
are
I
they
don't
12?
think they had kids because when I listened to the video you sent me, she had the one child by a previous man. And she even went and asked him for the blessing. So she went to ask the boy daddy for the blessing to ask this man to marry.
Yeah, and see, in that sense, the short answer for me is yes, but not for the reason that you would think. Okay. If my sister said I'm gonna propose to my boyfriend, I would say go ahead, because there's a concisive answer is gonna come out of this. Right. Yeah, go ahead, do it. Now, if this is gonna let you know if you're gonna waste any more time, okay? The rubber got to meet the road, and you're gonna decide which direction you're going. If he say no, what y'all gonna do after that? Yeah. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know is if he say no, then what? If the then what is, well, I'm just going to stay and do it, then don't even make your relationship awkward by asking that man a question that's going to make the rest of it unhappy and resentful for you. Yeah. Okay. But if you're telling me that I need to do this in order for me to set forth the path that I'm going forward, and I need to know how seriously this man take me. I mean, 14 years is a long time, but I need to know how seriously he take me, or whatever the reasons may be, then sure. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't like you came to me and said, hey, can you holler at my boyfriend real quick and see what this man plans is or whatever.
You told me I'm about to do it.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, man, what's your plans for my sister, bro? Like, I'll do that. But the truth of the matter is, I don't think that a lot of men are avoiding marriage because of the responsibilities and everything that come along with marriage, okay? I think that to a certain degree, just the state of relationships overall have become so formulaic, and we're still trying to fight for a tradition that doesn't exist anymore. Okay, we're no longer in an era where somebody with a high school diploma can have a single income household. Yes. Bring home the bacon, the housewife fried up in the pan. Yeah. That's gone. That's done. Okay. The myth of the household where I think it's like 72% of women are kids are born to single mom. But that's not true because Black men are the most involved, fathers involved. Yep. Single parenting doesn't mean solo parenting. Right. And when you think in terms of who gets married or who's unmarried, that also doesn't include shacking up. That doesn't include common law. Doesn't include a whole number of things. So what does your relationship mean, and what does it need? So I think that if you're going to get married, there needs to be a reason why you're doing that as opposed to what you've been doing up for the 14 years that you've been together. Yeah. So if in the event that there's something unique about marriage, the actual act of being married, the legal contract, if there's something in there that you need, that you can't get from your partner, but it is a thing that you need. And I'm just talking about sentiment, because we can still make the same love, we can still raise the same kids,
we
can
can
still do all
jump
of
the
that
broom.
without,
got a paper,
you know, but without the paperwork. But the paperwork does matter.
Yeah.
So if in the event that you're a woman who's contemplating a life decision, and this is a pivotal, point in that decision making, absolutely ask, because I need to know what I'm working with. If you ain't gonna do it, then I'll do it.
But that's the thing. They know, like a woman and a man knows how their partner really feels.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't have to ask you, do you want to marry me? Because you know if you wanted to marry me. So I'm setting myself up for what? Get confirmation or get a denial because you backed them in the corner. You know. But the way people
you have a feeling, but you don't really know.
I'll put it this way. I've never really looked at, because there's the biggest bill that people will go into a marriage with is often the wedding. Okay. And there are people who just can't see a courthouse wedding. There's some people who, once they get married, they have certain things in plan. I think that people have different ideas sometimes.
Yes.
What is a wedding and what is a marriage? Like, how does this thing function in your mind? What does that even look like? Because there are guys who are very passive. They're not hunters and gatherers. Like, I mean, I gotta tell you, they're not
right along with the flow.
They are not the so-called alpha hunters and gatherers type. I'm not saying they ignore it, but they're not that guy. And sometimes it does take. There are men whose wives pick out their necktie, where they're going to go eat. They plan the vacation. They balance the checkbook. Like, there are guys who may be so focused on the thing that they do, whether they're their job or whatever the thing is, and she's their counterbalance. It might be someone who requires you to say, hey, I've reached the end of my limit in this current incarnation of our relationship. You're going to either need to step up or step aside. This is where we are.
But that's different than her asking. And she's letting him know, but if think about it. If I was with you for years, where I can pick out your tie and do all these things, right? You're trying to, like this one right here. You're trying to tell me.
I would say, look at her.
Oh, no, okay. I was like, I done threw Colin under the bus.
But threw me under the bus.
No, but I was like, so to me, and that's the thing when I look at marriage. I look at marriage as a covenant between two people. The wedding, all of that is just the fluff and the hoo-ha that comes with it. So if I'm into somebody, I'm paying them attention. So I'm noticing, okay, you know what? We've had this discussion. I know her end game is marriage.
Right.
Oh, I know he wants, he's not a person that cares about clothes, so he'll walk around with high water. So let me make sure I pick out my baby pants. You know what I'm saying? Hey, baby, you want this food right here? That's the marriage part. It's like you're listening to what the other person is telling you, and you're either saying, I'm going to give this to them or not. And in my thing, when people don't want to give, that's a job, that's what anything. People don't want to give you what you need to feel loved. That's not unhealthy. I'm not talking about somebody who's trying to use you, because you got to know, like I teach my sons. I said, you got two types of women. You're going to find a manipulator or influencer. You got to find a woman who's going to influence you, not manipulate you. Okay. So when you're supposed to listen to each other. So he's been hearing her conversation about these 14 years. She probably went in passive. Oh, we just kicking it. We just cool. And they might have met when they was, 17, 18 years old. We don't even know. And they went along for this ride. And she's like, look, I'm about to be 40. And now, and a lot of people base their relationship on time. Oh, we've been together this long. That don't mean a damn thing.
Did he say yes?
That's what I'm about to ask.
He did, yeah.
But you saw how he said, yeah. They had to show his hand like this while he didn't want to turn his face to the camera. He didn't want to show his face to the camera.
I mean, here's the thing.
So was it a setup
let's be honest.
For some likes?
I think that, this is going to make me sound terrible, but I think that when you push the limits of changing the dynamics of a relationship, and you say, okay, the woman's going to be the person who's like is making the more money. They're going to be doing all these different things. Again, this sounds very bad, but it's like, okay, well, where is the limit? I think we're finding out that this is women's limits. Like saying something like, okay, yeah, you can't propose to a man. But like, I feel like they're doing everything else in the relationship
but
nowadays.
Financially is different than.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
I know that's kind of like It just sounds weird.
No,
but
I know what you're getting at. Because if they're making the money, why can't they be put in this position? So now you want me to be a man.
I'm just saying we're in 2025.
But you want me to be in a dominant position.
We're in 2025. But do women want to be in that position?
No, that's what I'm saying.
I feel like
as a woman, no.
But let's.
Are you saying that it's self-contradictory? Is that where you're?
No, that's because if we're making the money, but
I
money
think it
is different than morals.
I personally
money
think
is different
it is
than emotions,
because
so
it's kind of like, I don't know. I just feel.
But is it not? I'm asking you, is it money different? Because if me and you going for the same job, right?
Okay.
And then I'm like, okay, I just happened to become a doctor. You wanted to become whatever, a secretary or whatever, a nurse, whatever. And now I happen to be making more money. That's because we just went for education. We went for whatever our careers were. That's different to me when it comes to emotions, emotions, whatever I'm about to say. I can't think of what I'm saying. Your feelings, that's different to me. Because I can also earn the money and then act like I dominate you. You see what I'm saying? But that's not, if I'm making money, but I still like we're equal because it's a love thing. It's a love match. As I told y'all before, women don't care that they make more than their man if their man is giving them the best of himself. Because women do. No. He always said, but I'm telling you. No, listen. I'm telling you this because here's the thing we want to talk about. I'm telling you this as a woman who got all my friends make 6 or 7 plus figures. Listen what I'm saying. All my friends as majority black women, we already know, unfortunately, we lead in a lot of spaces where we make more than our men. We are not sitting here saying, oh, he ain't worth nothing, he ain't nothing because he make 20, 50,000.
The mentality of I don't need a man.
Is that when you are or are not arguing?
No, I'm telling you. Because I ain't never throw it in no man's face.
The assessment of the man could be very different depending on the
I've
temperature.
never done it.
And the thing is, see, I'm sitting quiet for a
I
minute.
never said
so when you
Negro,
say when you say that, speak for yourself or just speak for your friends.
That's what I speak for my friends.
I'm
and
sure
myself.
he deal with women. He deal with women.
Yeah,
I deal with
I'm
women. We deal with way
What
more
type of
women than
woman
you come
deal
across
with?
with.
What type? Let's push the mic. What type of woman you deal with?
Let me make my point. We deal with way more women. Let me tell you this.
Look, that's why I laugh.
Listen,
what type you deal with?
Majority, and it's safe to say none of us at this table. I don't know. I'm not counting nobody. I don't know if he's balling or whatever. Wherever we started from financially,
Can you eat?
Majority of women you dealt with weren't you the most as far as financially in your situation.
Oh, me?
You.
Oh no, I'm very progressive. I'm a progressive to the point where it's annoying. I've dated people who were like old money.
But old money, right?
Like old new money, old money, new money. If you the millionaires or
like if you wanted him, he went with you.
Okay. Yeah. Put it this way: since I don't need anything from anyone, I can operate independently on my own. She can operate independently on her own. I try to be in a situation. In fact, even in relationships that I've been in, where the person wasn't where they were once we left, I don't ever want anybody to break up with me. People are like, man, they sure have been dusty ever since they left. Something like that. Then I feel like I contributed to your downfall or your downgrade. I want you to do better. I'm not a person who's bitter about exes and wishing them bad luck. I want you to go get all the stuff that you wanted. That whatever wasn't achievable or whatever with me, by all means, go do your thing. And so. For me, I want to get it to the point where the relationship is based on our desire, not necessity. Like once we get to that point where, first of all, we're never gonna have 2 arguments where you denigrate me about anything, whether it's how much I make, or how tall I am, or whatever the situation is. That ain't gonna be no habit anyway. So I don't worry about being a man who's making less than a woman in a relationship, and then she gonna talk to me this way and talk. You ain't that ain't gonna happen.
See, you ain't gonna let that happen.
That ain't gonna happen. Yeah. So it ain't gonna be no. So that's a situation where I never worry about those things that these men complain about because I have a no nonsense policy when it comes to that.
Right. And then us also too, it depends on the caliber of women you're dealing with.
But see, these men are driving their cars. They're sleeping in their house. You in her apartment.
There you go.
Like, and so you feel trapped, and you feel like she can do you like that because the only time you can go to the restaurant that you want to go to, she either got to go Dutch or pay for it. And so if you want to. Even when, the honeymoon, I mean, she might have to pay for her own honeymoon, or her parents did. When you find yourself in a situation of inequity, there's certain concerns that you have that are valid. Like I believe what you're saying is valid. And I've been in situations in the past where someone who was in a higher tax bracket than I, when people's feelings are hurt, when people are looking for that soft Achilles heel, that soft underbelly, whatever, they'll reach for anything. I mean, there's certain things that they ain't never gonna say about me, but there's certain,
because that ain't gonna,
because that's a lie. That's a lie. You know what I'm saying? But there's certain things that they will go for, but usually those are things that you've exposed as an insecurity.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
And so whatever that might be, if it's your hairline, if it's your weight, if it's whatever, they're gonna go for that. Yeah. So my thing is something about a man who's confident and comfortable in his own skin where he is, in a space where, like someone said that, I think it was like 75,000. Somebody said recently, if a man is making $75,000 a year, that's still not enough. She would need him to be ambitious and be trying to make more than that. And other people are like 75 grand. Like I ain't even making 75 grand. Like people were like, whoa, well then how much is enough? 100K wouldn't be enough, or 200K wouldn't be enough. Listen, stop chasing after that which is not for you. Most of the men that I know of, are complaining about women not wanting them. But what their actual complaint is, the woman you want don't want you.
There you go.
Ooh.
But there are other women who do, but you don't want them.
Exactly.
And
it happens the same way with women.
No, but the dynamic is a woman could work at McDonald's and get Jay-Z.
No, go ahead.
A woman could work at McDonald's and get Jay-Z. A dude can't work at McDonald's and get Beyonce.
Of course.
The mindset is different because that insecurity is the problem. Like if you got a man who confident, I'm telling you, because the women I deal with, they are not thinking about that.
There's a flip side.
Like we have tore down the traditional things of relationship.
So you want a woman to propose to you?
And no, I'm a very traditional man.
You know what?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not.
You can look at other podcasts. All I'm saying is,
give me a ring too.
Like,
okay,
nope.
I don't care if you give me a glass slipper. You can put a
to be honest, for her situation,
go.
If and you said he said yes, right? You said he said yes.
He showed the ring like this.
Okay. So he said yes. In her situation, if she wanted to get married, that's fine. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't tear her down because she proposed to him. It is what it is. Obviously, he said yes. Maybe he didn't want to be seen because it's somewhat slightly emasculating, and it's true. Right. But
he embarrassed.
Honestly, I really don't want a woman to propose to me either. Right. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. But at the same time, I know females who don't want to get married either.
Yeah.
I know females who don't even want to live in. I can be with a dude, even if they did get married. I want to live in my own house, and he live in his own house. I know plenty of women the same way too.
But isn't that okay though? I think you're saying you're traditional. Just real quick, if you can give me like a quick rundown of what traditional means to you, so we can see. If
I think the man should be the one that like woos the woman and pursues her and asks her to get married, all that stuff.
Okay, now when that translates into marriage, how does that translate into marriage? Like once you're married, then how does that tradition apply?
Well, I mean, like I don't think that women can do whatever they want. Like the person I would marry, I don't care. Like let them do whatever they want to do in terms of like working and like living a fulfilled life, as long as like we have our family dynamic and all that stuff.
Now, peep game though.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. A few minutes ago, you said you think that women want it both ways. That they want to be traditional on one hand and then not so traditional on the other. You want them to be able in the marriage to carry bills and do all these other things
if they want to.
If they want to, but they also want tradition up front, which is what you said, right?
Yeah.
You just said something similar, but in reverse, where you were saying that traditionally, leading into the marriage, you want to follow the tradition of the man taking the head and being the one who does the wooing and the courting and all this other stuff. And then once you get married, you flip the script and they can do whatever they want. It's have at it. Well, in a sense, that too is contradictory because you're not marrying the marriage, you're marrying the person. And if you brought someone into a relationship within a certain structure where you were the head, you were the man, you took the lead, you were Mr. Traditional. And now when they're in the marriage, you remove all of those things.
Yeah, well,
and it's like, okay, just kidding.
Well, let me say
knock
this.
yourself out.
I want her to be able to have the choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, we can have a traditional marriage where you stay home and you can do, the housemaking or whatever.
Right.
I mean, like, if she wants to do that, cool. She can do that. Like I would be making, a certain amount of money in order to make that happen. You know what I'm saying? But like, I just feel like, relationships now for women You know, they want to like change all of these dynamics, but when it goes a little bit too far for them, then they're like, oh, no, let's go back to tradition. Right. You know, and I'm more so saying that, listen, I'm okay with it. We're in 2025. Live your life.
Men want it both ways.
Live your life.
I personally would, the politics of my relationship, I prefer to have the dynamics of a non-binary relationship. Okay. I think that first and foremost, as it pertains to these traditional rules, if we're being honest with ourselves, those traditions are steeped in patriarchy. They are steeped in patriarchy and white supremacy. Even the concept that we have of modern marriage, or whatever, is rooted in slavery, the men's enslavement of women. They were property, not partners. Okay, so if you go back far enough, you can see where these things were not really created for what we're trying to turn them into. Even the concept of romance came from a romance movement. There was an actual movement of people who came up with these codes like chivalry and all these other things. That was for the elites. That's for how those people would correspond with one another. The concept of romance, if you'll notice, is often over the top and very neurotic. Like the things that people will be, one day you're like, girl, he came by my job. Next thing is like, girl, he came by my job. But it's the same words, same dude, same job, same everything, but the context has changed. I think that to some degree, if you have the dynamics of it, if you can set yourself aside long enough to have the dynamics of a non-binary sort of relationship, where now what matters most, who has the money to pay this bill? Who has the time to watch the child? Who has the expertise to do this thing? You think that if I'm dating a person who's assigned female at birth, she's identifies as a woman, the car breaks down and she's a mechanic. You think I'm gonna go out there and like, no, I got it from here, babe. Like, no, you let her handle it. You see what I'm saying? and so it was. I remember I was in PetSmart parking lot, and there was a truck where jacked up, and the woman was changing the tire. The guy was like holding the tools or whatever, and there was a guy standing there and a woman changing the tire. And someone who was with me called that man everything but a child of God. But we don't know what's going on there. That man could have had a disability. Any number of things could have been the reason why. And so what I'm saying is, I think that to some extent, people who I identify and live their lives as not beholden to any of these gender norms or standards have a better shot at happiness because they are looking at each other's character, each other's qualifications, and not just coloring by number as who's expected to do what. And so for me, I'm the worst match. Like, there's no need, what is it, swipe left or swipe right for the match, whatever. I know that about myself. I'm not going to do it.
So, when we sit there and say that though, listen, we don't care about the money.
I have a crush I'll take that crush to my grave before I say anything. I will not say anything, not because I'm not a person who's assertive, but because in my situation, where I am at this juncture in my life, career-wise, today's DM is tomorrow's screenshot and a post for everybody showing Sunn creeping on somebody. I wait. I'm more patient for dynamic now, for connection. I find more subtle ways to say a thing, to make sure that there's some energy there, whatever, before I take the initiative. And so because of that, people will say, oh, he's aloof. He's stuck up. He think he better than this. Oh, you think you the pretty woman in the relationship. I mean, it is what it is. So that knocks me off the traditional block already.
Let me ask you this real quick. So could you be content with in a relationship, or if you married, whatever, could you be the stay at home? Because you don't know, and
see, that's when I say
yes, I could. And the thing about it is, I've been in situations like that before, where for what I did and what they did, we had two different like, as an artist and as someone who makes money differently. Like say let's say today, okay, if at the time this wasn't an option with social media and all that wasn't an option, as a creator today, with your phone, you can make thousands of dollars at home. With a podcast, you can have your podcast in the spare bedroom. Like, there's so many options that you have now to make money, which means if you have a wife who works at the office and y'all have a child, why are you not the one who would volunteer to make your money at home so you can keep an eye on the kids so y'all can save that money on childcare? And so to me, there's no reason other than patriarchy and vanity as to why you wouldn't do that. I hear people say all the time, the man shouldn't have to work and come home and help around the house. That's crazy. That doesn't even make logical sense that you would think that the person who, because either one of the two things has happened. Either she's at home all day dealing with the things that you don't have to deal with while you're at work doing whatever you're doing, okay, dealing with the things you don't have to deal with, so she never gets a break. She never gets any time off. Remember now, imagine if you lived at your job. Okay, you never clock out like you lived at your job. Well, she's got to live there and work there if she's the domestic manager of that home. But you can't put some rice and roni on the stove or order something in. Like, bro, and now when she's tired and she's, doing all the getting the kids ready and helping them with the homework and everything, now you want some draws at the end of the night. Not special time, not quality time.
Could you same scenario, say she's a millionaire, CEO or whatever, but she don't want you to work, do nothing. Just stay with
That's not her call.
No, I'm saying, could you be content?
Be a kept man? No. But if it's my choice, yes. And so that's what I'm saying is the difference is when we're dictating it to the other person, that's the difference. And so, and to be clear, you ain't got to be a millionaire to live comfortably.
Right. You don't.
If you budget your money right and both of you do what you need to do, there's lots of people who have massive houses with no furniture in it.
Yep.
And I've seen, and I've personally known people that you had to kind of let them hold something, because the refrigerator was empty in a nice big house with a fancy car in the driveway. And then there are people who live within their means, and you would swear they got bread. They be going on trips and doing little things and paying for little stuff. Their Christmases and everything be stacked up because they buying gifts throughout the year, little here and there. By the time you get to the end of the year, their Christmas tree looking, it's Toys R Us in the living room.
Better management.
But I think the thing about it is, this is probably going to sound like it's way off the beaten path, but I promise you it's going to circle back to where it's going to land where it needs to land. I remember talking to a friend of mine who was assigned female at birth. Okay. They were assigned female at birth and presented as a woman, identified as a woman, ultimately realized that they were transgender. There was something about them, they were transgender male. And one of the things that they were very uncomfortable with when identifying as a woman is they were a very beautiful woman. And as puberty hit, men became very predatory, like very, very focused on the way that they looked as a woman. They were hoping that when they identified as a man, once they started going through their transition, that part at least would be over. The being objectified, being preyed on, that men would see them differently, okay? But here's the thing. They were a transgender gay man. So you're assigned female at birth, okay, follow me, assigned female at birth, identifying as a girl and a woman, go through puberty, but you are a transgender gay man, which means you will be dating men, not women. Here's the problem. They went from being a beautiful woman to a pretty boy.
Wow.
A very androgynous sort of pretty boy. And so men were looking at him like a tomboy. Not so much like a guy.
Yeah, like I don't want you.
So they found a man that they were involved with and in love with and just having a great relationship. And finally, when we were talking about it, they said, I think I'm going to have to break up with him. And I'm like, why? And they said, I don't think he loves me in a gay way. And that phrase stuck in my head, and I'm like, in a gay way. It was a weird concept to me because I'm trying to like unpack. But all this time you said you just wanted to be loved. Like, don't you? Right. Isn't love enough? And they're like, no. I think he sees me. First of all, I don't think he's as gay as he might think he is. I think he sees me as a tomboy, a boyish girl, not actually as a man, because the anatomy from the waist down
is still the same.
Is still, yeah. And so they were saying, I need to be now in this new body. I need to adapt to a new reality that they're still attractive and they're still going to attract men who are still going to objectify them and still see them in the way that they see them because they're very pretty and they're looking for someone who will love them in a very specific way that affirms their identity, like who they are. Like, I don't want you to just love me. I want you to love me in a gay way because that is who I am and that affirms my sense of being. Now, I said all that to say, when identity is at the center of your life and you have to fight for it, you have to affirm it, you have to stand for it, you have to it's almost a political statement in a sense that you have to make sure that your politics are congruent with private and personal life. It's got to match up. They waited for love. They waited for the transformation. They did all the things, thinking that it would just kind of change on its own, and it didn't. It only changed their self-perception, but it didn't change how they were perceived. I think that people who are cisgender, I think the people who are, women who are black, who are, have less money, less education, whatever the thing is that you identify as, we run so fast into looking for love. You just want to be loved. But little do you know, you need to be loved in a black way. You need to be loved in a black male way. You need to be loved in a 5'4" way. And whatever the thing is that's very important to you about your identity, and you're so enamored by being loved and on the receiving end of someone else's attention and affection that you don't always realize, I'm not saying that your love isn't genuine. I'm just saying I don't think it's a fit for me.
That's the type of love.
And so that's what we're doing is I want to normalize no fault breakups. Because it ain't always got to be when you go your separate ways, one of them was messed up and not the other. And we do that all the time. Like, oh, well, he wasn't this or she wasn't that. Like, no. And that's one of the things that helped me the most in reconciling what kind of love am I trying to have? Like, what kind of love am I trying to receive? What would I reciprocate? And so if you don't have that part and you're just looking for love or just looking for marriage or looking for a partner, you want to be somebody without that person fully knowing and identifying who you are as somebody, then it doesn't matter if you do traditional or non-traditional because it's not going to be a fit. You're just basically trying to beat a square peg into a circle for 14 years until you have to make this power move. And so for me, that's the thing is once you get there, you can't unknow what you know. There's a lot of flaws in modern love and modern relationships that will lead to the detriment of those relationships. And once you know, you can't unknow it, and it's not going to fit the way you want it to. And I was telling someone recently who always insists on opening the door for their partner, always insists on paying, always insists. And I said, it's one thing to offer, it's quite another thing to insist. Because when it gets to the point where even the woman that you're trying to hold the door for is like rolling her eyes like, I got it. Like, bro, relax. Like, I can get my door. Like, it's cool. So I started, when we were all out together, I started walking through the door when she would hold the door. You can stand right there all you want to. Like, y'all can tug a war over the door. When she if she did the door first and opened the door, I'm walking through the door. And you can talk about whatever you want to talk about or whatever. I mean, you got key fobs for the car. Like, the door's unlocked.
But just like that goes back to what you're saying. It's like knowing yourself. So when I say, for me, and some of the women know that money isn't important. Because that knowing myself, knowing money isn't important if I make more than that man. Because that's not what's feeding me into a relationship. His finances, I just need to know, can he be responsible and hold himself down? Or is he looking for me? Because a lot of us like the door thing. That's what made me think with the door thing that he's saying. A lot of people find that person who likes you opening the door all the time. Because some women, like, that's to them, that makes them feel courteous or loved, cared for. So they want the door open. Some I'm like, no, I got it. I'm good, And so you have to knowing who you are means you're going into a relationship knowing what you are going to give that person. A lot of people, I feel, can't give quality love or whatever it is you're looking for because they don't give it to themselves. Like, I know for me, I go in a relationship, I'm a bomb partner. That's why I'm so cool with my exes. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I give you what I want you to give me. Meaning, I'm going to be courteous. I'm going to show you respect. I'm going to do whatever as a human being to make sure you're good. To make sure, like, if I'm listening to you tell me, say, hey, I don't like salmon. I'm not going to force you to eat salmon. You know what I'm saying? If you say, hey, I'm not a planner, that means I'm a planner trips. If I like going on trips. It's about listening to one another and saying, how do I care about you? Do I care enough to give you the best of what you want? And but you got to feel that for yourself. A lot of people don't give you certain types of love or respect for love because they don't have it for themselves. A lot of men have a problem with women making more because that's their insecurity. That's why she can stab you in that wound and say, oh, well, you broke me. Because you ain't okay with it.
And the irony is, that men don't, what we don't take into consideration is women didn't create that rule. The women didn't create the patriarchy.
No.
Like the reason it's I find it interesting that very often, and we see this when there's a power dynamic, when there's a social power dynamic where a collective or a ruling demographic has sway or influence over another ruling demographic. Like we say, like it was white supremacy. It's a white power structure, white supremacy. We start talking about racism, they start talking about black on black crime. You know, they change the trajectory. And so in this case, one of the issues is, well, why do y'all always got to make it about race? Why do y'all make you literally created a white power structure where all of it is about race? Yeah. And so when we're thinking about it, and for years, people fought against the term toxic masculinity because either they didn't understand it or didn't want to understand it.
Or they thought they were the good guy.
Toxic masculinity is like saying rotten egg. That doesn't mean that all eggs are rotten. It means that these eggs are rotten. Okay, toxic masculinity doesn't mean all masculinity is toxic. It means I'm referring specifically to a form of masculinity that is toxic. I'm talking about that. So if in the event that we have, a little boy falls down, and I've seen this myself, a little boy falls down, dad picks him up, stands him up straight, pops him on the chest where he fell, like, come on, like, shake it off, like, shake him off, you tell him to stop crying, wipe his face all rough, tell him to, walk it off. Little girl falls. And he ready to fall down, with her, could call 911, calling for a medic like they out in the middle of the battlefield because she scraped her knee. And so at some point in time, if you keep doing that, the little boy doesn't feel seen. He doesn't feel loved. He feels like he has to be macho and suck it up and suppress his emotions. The little girl feels entitled. And now when you're as an adult, you're sitting across from an entitled woman who we conditioned throughout her life to feel entitled and to make you feel like you should suck it up. And we're perpetuating the patriarchy. And somebody said, well, where do women fit into that? Because women raising the women alone. Okay, well then, once again, we are creating a system where women have to operate for years for equity as it pertains to income. You want, relationship like Big Mama them used to have. Big Mama didn't have any options that they do now. The education disparity in the household was different then. There was a generation of people in certain instances where the women weren't even protected by the men like they could have been. When the insurance man could come in and leave a couple kids that don't look like daddy behind in the house. So there's some situations there that have been unresolved. And so to me, we created a system where if I stop clowning you but them bobos, if I stop clowning you but whatever, you ain't got the latest this or the latest that, if I stop clowning you because you can't afford a quarter zip or whatever the case may be, I'm not joning on you for what you ain't got, okay? At some point in time, what they gonna do? Even if they want a dude who got money, if we stop basically clowning each other for not having money, what are you gonna do? Date a shadow? This is what you got. This is what you got to work with. And you know why that is still working? The whole, I want a dope boy, I want a this or that, because we keep on setting that standard for ourselves. At some point in time, I saw a TikTok where there was a girl who was talking about in her culture, the women start drinking fat, like goat milk, and fat before, ingested fat before they go to
Africa?
Yeah,
with the red,
so they can get as plump as possible.
I know you're talking about.
So they can get as plump as possible. Now we know this ain't the Western standard. They trying to get as
looks wealthy.
Right, as ripe as possible. Now, when I was younger, right around here, the word for a thick girl was healthy. A big girl was like, man, that girl, healthy boy. You talk about somebody healthy. And that was how we saw a voluptuous, big girl was healthy. That was the word that we used. Now, can you imagine if by way of your mouth and your perception, you started to perceive and uplift characteristics, not just physical, but also ethical characteristics? When we talk about, what a good man is and what a good woman is, and we start upholding virtues. If we did that, now you can't have it both ways. You can't say that the man is the natural leader. You can't say that we're the ones who set the tone for everything and then act like we're victims of women's preferences. Now, if which one is it? Either you are traditional and you are setting the tone and they are following your lead, or they struck a deal with the CIA to depose the black man in the household. Like, it can't be both.
Because who keeps bringing out money?
Right.
Men podcasts keep bringing
They
out what you
say
gotta
that
do.
men are valued for what they produce. Women are valued for what they reproduce. That's what men say. That's the rules of the
that's what
patriarchy.
they say.
So if that is the case, if we're valuing men for what we produce and valuing women for what they reproduce from what we've produced, then that puts you in the lead. If you are setting the tone, then you can start setting the tone by not acting like we're in an episode of Oz on these streets. There's so much that we can do to support one another as men and to set the tone as men. If I'm spending X amount of dollars on these bottles in the club and making you look like, you less than me because you ain't got what I got, I'm contributing to my own demise when I fall on hard times. But you done saw me diminish this man for not having what I have. So now when you come along with more than what I have, man, you grimy. You a gold digger. But I'm the one who used gold as bait.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying.
what I'm
We
saying.
can't have it both ways. You can't use something as a lure to get people to be drawn to you, and then when they're drawn to you and somebody else come by with a better deal, than what you propose.
My thing is this: women have made it to where it's creepy to go up and talk to them.
No. I
No,
vehemently have to disagree with that.
But let me just say this.
Right.
There was arguments that, like, if a guy comes up to you in certain spaces, you're kind of viewed as creepy. Now
If they don't
that
want you.
happens, right? Okay. And then as we came along, there started to be another domino that fell.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you can't be this or you can't do that. And this is happening. And now there's a lot of men who are very passive now, who won't go up to a woman now.
Okay.
And now I hear women saying, well, we actually do want men to like come up to us and like talk to us. And okay. And by the way, this is coming from a person, again, I'm not saying that these are my views. Okay?
I feel you.
I will go up.
Disclaimer.
I will go up and talk to a woman anytime. I don't care. Like, I mean, I don't worry about being like called creepy.
Right.
Like, because I know I'm not going to be a weirdo when I walk up to a woman. Okay. But I'm just saying that these things have fallen. These different systems that we had put into place. And now we see a woman take it to another level. She decides to propose to her husband. And now we see that there's pushback.
Right. But
so, I mean, I don't know.
There's three things about that. First and foremost being, it's not women who created the idea that men are creeps for approaching them. The reason women think men are creeps is because men are creeps.
Right.
It is because for so long women have had to be careful how they say no thank you.
Yes.
Without getting trailed and followed and shot or beat up or punched, whether it's a drink thrown in your face at the club because you didn't want to dance with somebody or something or worse. I mean, we have to take into consideration that from the beginning, go all the way back to the beginning, especially if you're a black woman and you came here in chains. All right, you from the very beginning, for white women, including the disparity of power, even though they had their privileges with white men, there was still a disparity of power with white women. But when you start talking about, Asian women, Latino women, women who have had also a historical racial dynamic and ethnic dynamic included into the subjugation of their demographic. So when you include all of that as well, there are many instances where black women had to fight on both sides. They had to fight both the racism on the outside and the sexism on the inside with men who'd been conditioned by the racist as to how to lead a household. And that was being basically, literally whipped into them as to how to lead a household. It's one of the main reasons that we never talk about as to why black people, the African-American demographic, is more likely to whoop our kids than any other demographic. To pretend that's just an idea that we came up with on our own, completely separate from ourselves as adults having had corporal punishment disproportionately used on us, would be ridiculous. We created an environment where women felt unsafe. We created an environment where, quite frankly, we are usually creeping. Because I would give you a compliment that I would give you. If your outfit looks nice and I think it looks nice, I'll tell you. If your if it looks nice, I'll tell you that my accent keeps on accent keeps slipping. But if your outfit look nice, then I'll tell you too. And the reason, that's how you can tell that, bro, you lying, because you would never tell this, I just being friendly. You just being friendly, but you wouldn't say the same thing to him that you saying to her. Okay. So she already know you. That's flam. She already know that. And so to me, they feel that way because we gave them good reason to feel that way. It's the same reason that gay men or queer men, transgender. I had a friend of mine who's a lesbian with her wife was walking out of a comedy show. They were all, and there was somebody who was in a comedy show. This man berated them from the door all the way to their car. And when they finally got there, he finally hit her wife in the back of the head. And so, like, because she's masculine and her wife is more like a sort of effeminate, and hit her wife, and was like, now what you gonna do about it? You get yourself a real man that can protect you. You punch a woman who's with another woman, say, get yourself a real man that can protect you.
That's toxic masculinity right there.
You see what I'm saying? And so this is the environment that women are making decisions in.
Yes.
I know, but all I'm saying, and I did misspeak by saying that, but I was just trying to get across the idea that, like, right now, like, things are different.
But it's not all because of women.
It is
you have more men that play video games,
2025.
more men that stay in the home, more men that are listening to other men telling them, if you don't make six figures, if you don't have muscles, if you don't do this, then women don't want you. You have men feeding men that women don't want you because of this reason.
But also there's women telling other women that, hey, you should go up and talk to the man if you like the man.
No,
sprinkle.
Right.
So I'm just...
But it's always
what's the
been,
difference between going up to that man and asking him to, like, go on a date and the woman also asking
threat
to
potential
be married.
and power dynamic.
No, exactly. But
So-
it's different because I'm not creating a covenant with you at the bar. If I'm at the bar and I said, okay, if you see me, I'm not creating a covenant with you, asking you, hey, do you want to have a drink or something like that. That's more like you are literally saying, I want to be with you in covenant for whatever type of marriage we're having, right? Okay. So for me, women have always been taught, and we go into the patriarchal thing, you won't look like a hoe. First of all. So they are not taught to sit there and go after men like that. Right. And then I also got men before I even had sons. My brother, cousins, all of them. Like, I was like, do you understand how intimidating that could be for men to go up to you, anybody, to ask you out, to ask if you're available, because they face rejection. Right. So you have to give allowances. And I've told women this even when I was young. I was like, hey, I let men down real easy. I'm very respectful. I was like, oh, no, thank you. But the same thing he talks about. I've had men who said in my whole face after I said no thank you, and I'm looking like, so we still here.
Right. So what are we doing?
So so I'm going to have to be more polite or whatever.
I agree with you on all those points. Like, there are men out there who are very creepy and all that stuff.
You tell men too. That
and you're not clairvoyant to know which one is which. You don't know that.
I'm going to be ready to knife you either way.
Is that normally younger men or older men?
No.
Men of all stripes.
Yeah, because I'm okay, so for me, I tend to be around a lot of old white men. Okay, depending on corporation, whatever I'm in. I'm not a person easily offended by stuff. So an old white man calling me sweetie, I realize that's an old southern white man.
Right.
He don't even mean nothing by it. You know, so I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, the patriarchal that ain't that deep player.
Right.
And so I give allowances for certain things, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna still look at you as through that perception of what they were taught. Right. And so when I sit there and say, if I'm at a bar and I see a guy looking at me, men gonna tell you they're interested. Your job as a woman, or your job as a person who's receiving that on that whatever receiving it, is to let them know, hey, I'm interested too. That's a smile. That's whatever. You see what I'm saying? It's subtle things, but people don't pick up.
Thank you. Bring back subtlety.
Like contact, because I never had a dude run up to me or looked at me and I was like, okay, he interested. Just like I won't accept every drink that's offered to me because I know what leads to that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh, tell him no thank you. Because I asked him, hey, who sent that drink?
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So I already see. Just like if a man run up on me in the airport, like I get women, well, I don't want him to approach me at the gas station. And I tell young women, stop saying that. Because if that's the only time that person is seeing you, he don't know if he can see you again through the airport, through the gas station. But be polite when you're approaching a woman. Like I taught my sons, I was like, hey, how are you? And ask them if they even got somebody. Because sometimes if they got somebody, I'm already backing off.
Yeah, and I got to be honest.
Dudes ain't going to tell me they got nobody.
I communicate there's two. First of all, what I would suggest for most men, do yourself the favor of investigating and really unpacking like misogyny and your internalized misogyny and like the patriarchy. Like do yourself a favor and really unpack that. Because sometimes you are showing things that you don't know you're showing. Yeah. You're showing signs that you don't know you're showing. And it's almost like a friendly crocodile that's smiling. We see teeth.
But you still a crocodile.
Yeah, but you know, it's like, no, respectfully, bro, it looked like if I get close enough to you, that's going to be the end of me. So in a sense, like recognize that. Like recognize the way that it feels if you're, you're not like, skinny dudes. I mean, if you stocky in the elevator alone with a woman and, at any given moment, just the dynamic between the two of you, if y'all don't know each other and you roll up to you're like this kind of Care Bear friendly, nice guy, she don't know that.
Right.
And
I want to stop because I just thought about something. I want you to make this into a clip. I want to thank the young black man that was in the elevator with me on one of my book tours. He was a young black man. He probably about no more than 19, 20 years old. And he literally, if I showed you a picture of my son and I showed you a picture of this young man, it was two things different. One, he might have been a little bit taller and he was dark skinned. Right. But he had the locks down to his waist and he was stocky, everything. We were standing out there waiting on the elevator at the hotel. He walked into the elevator first. He realized I was coming into the same elevator. This young man shifted all the way over into the corner. It was just me and him by ourselves in that elevator. And so I'm sitting there, and that's where you got to like build your discernment up about people. Because I knew he was trying to make sure I didn't feel uncomfortable because, hey, he is this tall, dark-skinned, everything society tried to put against a lot of young black men and play in their face with it. And so he moved to that corner, and now the funny thing was the elevator did this. I swear to God, y'all, this is the door. And I said, damn, I'm glad nobody chasing us. And he busts out laughing. I said, because we'd be dead. Because I wanted to make him feel comfortable at the same time. Because I recognized he got all that in his head. Telling him, let me make sure this woman feels safe. Let me make sure she's good. But I recognize it as my part, too, to make sure he knows I know I'm safe. That he's good. That there's nothing threatening about him. That he was a great person. All in that thing. And the elevator kept doing this. Even after I talked, I said, bro, we should have ran past this elevator. And he busted out laughing. He had this shy type of sweet laugh, and all I thought about was my son. And I sit there and I was appreciative, and I said, hey, you make sure you have a good night when I get off the elevator, because in that little space of this new generation of men, sometimes we can be putting so much on them to be like, you gotta make sure she's safe, you gotta make sure you ain't the threat, you gotta make sure, when they are just good people. And I wanted to tell him, thank you. I don't know, this was in Florence, South Carolina. He was such a sweet young man in that elevator, but trust me, I'm here to protect you, bro. And
I think that's what you were talking about, though, is your prior point about subtlety. I think that we get ahead of the game. It's like you say, well, men can't approach women anymore. But hold on, before you get that far, what happened to eye contact? What happened to vibe and feeling it out? What happened to, like, people say, oh, I'll go over there and her friends is blocking. She's out on the town with her girlfriends as a group having fun together, and you about to bust that up for your own personal agenda. Yeah, they don't want you there any more than anybody else would want their friend activities getting busted up. So now what? You gonna talk her ear off, and there's one missing from the gang because you're trying to get your Mac on? Of course you're gonna get some resistance. They're trying to have a good time together, and that doesn't include a total stranger trying to pick up old girl. Now to you, that might be your wife to be. She's the one. But to her, you're a nuisance. And they're trying to have a good time together. And so if in the event that you are talking about what happened to the thing that's 2-3 steps into the process, ask yourself what happened to the few steps before that even happens. By the time I get to the point where I feel like I can say something to someone, I've read the scenario, the situation, are they with somebody? Are they in a good mood, in a bad mood? I'm taking a whole lot of things, but more than anything, it has to be predicated on some degree of consensual reciprocity. Are they giving you any signs that they want to, are they open to communication? Sometimes, it's signs that we ignore. Is she wearing headphones? If she's wearing headphones, then don't tap on the shoulder. Nobody want to be,
she doesn't want to be bothered.
Don't lean in and do this right here. Excuse me, must. Don't.
That's the old school saying. You got to read the room.
You know, right?
Because we not looked to see if he had a ring. We not looked at all that.
So mainly what I'm saying is,
we need to go to Russell Wilson corny because this plays into that
in
part.
the context of this woman. In the context of this woman proposing to her man,
no,
it's because things have changed in society.
And do you think it's about society or her personal?
That's what I said. That's her personal thing.
No, I don't know, guys.
The reason
because
you can show one or two stories out of millions.
Let me show you this. Not only did she propose, but there are tons of women who are proposing right now.
I'm saying they are.
And literally a celebrity, Selena Gomez, just said that she proposed to her husband, that they just got married.
Jim Jones.
Like this is happening now.
But before she proposed to what's his name,
we can get all mad. We can get mad about this woman doing this, and the man. We can get mad at the man. And me, I'm open. I let everybody do whatever they want to do.
Yeah. What conversations had happened before then? Though,
have you ever talked about marriage with her?
Right. Have you ever said, yeah, you know, if we get married someday, or I can see myself married to you someday? Like, did marriage ever come up in a conversation? Did you ever, pillow talk about your future together and what that would mean?
I'm okay with all of that.
Because that's what Benny Blanco did with Selena
I don't think we
Gomez.
should demonize this woman as a person who feels more traditional
that's
and
her preference.
Like I'm okay with people doing her.
I just know he didn't want to get married for 14 years.
But we don't know that. You don't know
14 years.
See, that's the only problem I have with your whole argument right there.
14 years.
Because it's him 14 years, and I get it too. I can see both sides of the coin. From tradition, me personally, I would have proposed. I just feel. No,
I didn't even know the
tradition.
But
if you were the guy,
but what if you were waiting too long? But
you don't know, right? And honestly, and if she did propose, right?
That's a
and
long
I knew
time.
I wanted to marry her. That was a long time. But if I was with her and she felt I waited too long, and I do know in my heart I want to marry her, and if she proposed to me, I would accept it, right? Yeah. But you don't know if he was going to propose to her.
14 that might have been,
bro. That's a long time.
He was not proposing to her.
Listen, it is a long time.
That's a minute, yeah.
It's a long time, but we do not know the dynamic of their relationship. We don't know if they both decided to wait 14 years.
No, she might have. Listen to her video. What did she say? She said, "I know he wants to be with me, and I know, he's not. No, she said something along the line of he was asking something. She said, but I know he wants to be with me for the rest of my life. So he's obviously told you he wants to be with you for the rest of his life. You're the love of his life, but he never hinted at proposing to you.
Okay, well let me clarify. When you say propose, are you referring specifically to the traditional proposal, or are you referring to the proposition of marriage? Like, say for example, if you want to know what's up, you're saying you don't disagree with a woman saying, "Okay, I'm ready to make this move. Okay, I'm trying to get married. Is you ain't." You with that? So you're okay with that part.
But no. There's subtle ways because when I say paying attention to your partner, like she kept saying, "Oh, I know he want to be with me for the rest of my life, right?" But not one time did she say this man in 14 years ever asked her to marry him, because she did not. She said he wants to be with me for the rest of my life, like I want to be with him for the rest of my life. And she said, and I know I want to get married. I know, and she said something like either he wasn't going to propose or something. She said like that, and I was like, then why
she did say that?
would you? She said something like that about him not proposing.
So can you ask? Can you ask about marriage is what I'm asking.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you should already have that conversation, first of all. If y'all ride for 14 years. Now, I can see at the beginning, if y'all were young, that's what I said. I don't know the age of these people. They could have met at 17, 18 years old. Right. If they had, and then through the course of 14 years.
That makes more sense.
Right. You've had this discussion.
I'll put it to you this way. I think that the idea that just, speaking for myself, I've been in situations where sometimes people block their blessing. And they're not keeping track of what's happening in the relationship as to why the relationship isn't going in one direction or another. If you are in a relationship where certain old arguments just never got resolved, or certain old injuries just never healed right, when certain things, I've been in a situation where I was with someone on more than one occasion for a long period of time, but it wasn't a relationship that ever quite recovered from certain things that occurred within the relationship. And that, to me, was, like the pastor's prologue, an indication of what's to come.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you're comfortable enough to keep doing what you're doing, but not really have enough trust and confidence to do more, to put more skin in the game than what you currently have. So you could stay in that state of inertia for 14 years, 40 years. You'll never actually go any further. Like, I won't leave you, but I'm not going to go nowhere with you either.
And the men, they get comfortable.
But 14 years they were together, right?
Okay,
he could have probably been with her the whole time and never, like you said, have the marriage on paper, right? But even now, granted, if he was going to marry her, he wasn't even bringing it up.
No, the way she said is like, I know, like, she never once said that man asked her to marry him, or they talked about marriage. She never said that. But he could
still be with her.
So, yeah.
Do you think he would have on his own? Do you have, like...
See, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know all the context of the situation, right? Yeah. Because some people can be with someone and never have that document. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
They can still
feel that person when, you know, whatever, right? But at the same time, like you said, it was for 14 years. I didn't know if he could have probably was going to propose eventually, even though it was 14 years, let's say, right? But then she took it upon herself, but yet he still said yes.
Because by her video, it's like she was tired.
Just on one question about the marriage thing and overall, because I kind of think I know where you all stand on it.
Go ahead.
Do you think that marriage is the highest form of commitment and like relationship wise? Like that's the ultimate goal?
No. I don't. But a lot of women do, and some men do too.
Because we're talking about it in the context of her going to. It feels like we're talking about her in the context of her taking it to another level.
Whereas you said it, and this is my point, right? Because even now they've been together 14 years. They know each other. They live. They have kids, right? With the piece of paper, the dynamic won't change. Only thing is, now you officially my husband on paper. That's it. That's the only thing that's going to change.
For me, when we're talking about the elevation of it, I do feel like the way she was saying in that video, for her, she's trying to have an elevation of emotional maturity in that relationship. And I think she's not feeling that with him.
I think you're right.
Because I don't think she's feeling that, because when you listen to it, I was like, okay, so you're saying he never once did it. This is in her mind, and we don't know what played out for 14 years.
Right.
And like you said, and so I'm thinking for people like that, they want it for some form of emotional growth. You see that you're not going to get in a marriage. This is what I'm saying. You're not going to get. No,
man,
you're not going to get from a piece of paper.
This is our longest topic.
Yeah. He's thinking like, I know where he's going
at. That from a piece of paper.
The dynamic is not going to change.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I think it's more security. That's a lot of times what women are looking for.
But that's why. But you're not going to get security from a piece of paper. If I am insecure dating this man right now, me marrying this man is not going to change that. A piece of.
I'm going to tell you though, if we're being honest with ourselves, the truth of the matter is, if you are legally married, now it's not all up to the parties involved.
Exactly.
So I do have a little bit more security, because if you want to leave, you can't just leave.
That's what that's security.
There's certain pitfalls and consequences in place that give us more governance over the relationship.
Like that part of, but I say for her, like that part of it for her, I think she was more doing it for more emotional, not for more financial.
I will say this. I think of men who have had cold feet in getting married, in the conversations that I've had with men, I'm not going to say I've been one, but I'm just saying there is a trust factor where people buy into the myth that the paperwork doesn't make a difference. That's not true.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Once a person knows that they got you now, you need to trust that person's not going to leverage that paperwork and the whole process against you to make you miserable in a way that they could not, when you can just pack a duffel bag and leave.
And that's what I said. That's why I know men understand, for me, that covenant, because it's like that. What's the first thing a man says? She gonna take half, right, or whatever. So for her, I think it was more emotional. And if he has feelings like that about her after 14 years, that means you don't even trust her.
Yeah.
And so that, because I have men who say, man, no, I ain't divorcing her because she'll take everything. That's okay. Your wife cheated on you. Your wife is the problem. And you think, so maybe she'll just let you go. They was like, nah, that ain't how she gonna move. I said, now what does that say about you? That you saying with somebody that would do that to you?
Well, I mean, I think we normalize a lot of things that are not cool in relationships, but we live with it because we love the person.
And some don't love them. They're just lazy.
Right. Well,
I still beg to differ, because like I said, on both sides, I've met women and men who do not want to. They want to be with this person, nobody else, but they do not want.
And what's the man?
Halle Berry and Van Hunt. I think Van Hunt asked her to marry, and she was like, "Nah, I'm good, but I still want to be with you."
Jada Pinkett, what, 2 or 3 times?
Jada Pinkett didn't want to marry Will
But
Smith.
why did she tell you why she didn't want to marry?
Bullying her type?
No, when we know on the red, and that's what goes back to your childhood stuff. Because at the red table, she was like, she learned dysfunction from her mom.
Yeah. But she still wanted to be with him.
Because
she said, I don't have to be mad.
Because she didn't trust, because what she saw with her grandmama.
Which I understand.
And I was like, so I can understand the finances, even if you can't protect yourself financially, pre-nuts, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people, you have to say, I trust not to take you to the cleaners. And that's both ways now when women making more money.
Right.
And I trust you not to play in my face emotionally with my intelligence, my heart, whatever, my spirituality I'm giving you. So you got to go in with trust with the marriage.
I remember once, and this wasn't in the marriage, but I remember once I was dating someone.
Oh, we getting on the
this is it.
I was dating someone.
We got to do Russell Wilson.
But here's the thing: we were in a situation where I have a car and she has a car. When we met, we both had cars, and I was gonna sell my car and get a different car, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you might as well go ahead. Why even get another car? I mean, we don't even need two cars. You just gotta sell your car and you can just keep it. We don't even need two cars." And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'll sell my car. We don't need two cars, And we got into an argument one night, and I'm the type of person that I am. I'm a space sort of person. Full disclosure, there was a period of time I grew up around here, so and I grew up through some rough times. So in order for me to manage my anger and actions, I'm a space sort of person. If we get into a real thing, all right, you got it, bro. You got it. I don't need to win every argument. You got it. I'm out. And so I'm a decompress, get away. Get the car keys, go for a drive. I like drives and everything. Man, listen.
I already know what it's saying.
I already know.
I pick up them car keys, and suddenly our car but her car.
Yep. I'm about to say, I know what it's
And now, mind you, we both had a car when we met now. So it ain't like I scrapped the, can't get a car. We both had, but you don't need that, our car and her car. And on the way out, now I'm going to pause this before I tell you the rest of what happened. Prior to this, there was a conversation we had before that turned into like a really big thing about a hypothetical kid that does not exist. And she had said like some kind of sideways things that let me know like, I don't think I want to split custody with you with this imaginary hypothetical, baby. But I let it rock because we were getting along pretty cool. So fast forward to this argument. And she's like, where are you going? Sit and talk to me. Let's talk it out. They're talk it out type. I'm a, let me get out of here type. And I picked up the car keys, and suddenly the car keys was her car keys. And now I'm like, yo, move out the way, get out of the way, whatever. And she didn't do the respectfully, she didn't do the whole I'm a stand out, you can't go nowhere physical thing or whatever, because I got to think about physical. Don't do that. I step out the door, and she's like, I'll report it stolen.
That's what I'm about to say. She was like, I'll call the police and report it stolen.
I'll report it stolen. And I stop at the top of the stairs and just turn around and smile. Just toss her the keys. You ain't got to do that.
Yeah.
Just toss the keys. I moved into my crib.
She let you know, right?
What the thing is, and here's the thing. It's your car, but this is my apartment.
Yep, there you go.
My name is on the lease. Your name is on the title. Guess where you're going to be living come tomorrow?
In your car.
So say nothing. Keep it cool. I just, I learned my lesson from from trying to do too much too soon. Tossed the keys, went for a walk. It's all good. Calm down, settle down. I let a few days pass, and before long, when you at work,
pack them
up, and you now live with your friend. There's your stuff right there. I knew right then in my head, click, 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 click. It just all counted down. See, this is where we are. And if in the event that we were married, I wouldn't have been able to do that. If in the event that we were married, that would have been her car, her apartment, just like mine. In that situation, I was able to see in that crystal ball moment what my future would have been if I had married this person.
That was a blessing in disguise.
She was never going to leave me.
He got clues, but you got clues to who she was.
And see, and I don't believe that a lot of people who were together for, for 14, how many every year, They didn't have these conversations. You done had
You're not seeing the person.
You ain't got a spotless record for 14 years.
You're not seeing who that person was.
We know who this person is. And so for me, I think that's a part of it is people know with that paperwork, just like with that title and with that deed, you know, the lease to the apartment, with that paperwork ain't frivolous for no reason. They don't give you tax breaks and nothing for no reason.
Women looking at it, if I'm making more, he can get me. That's why I'm like, when you have to sit in that space, you know that person.
You got to run his credit before y'all even put him together.
Before I was like, nah, bro, what you scared? Because I'm like, 14 years, she knew that man, or that man know her. Somebody was holding out in that 14 years. So and it wasn't him, bro. It wasn't her.
So if you on either side of that, if you were the one who was saying, I'm only seeking paperwork for emotional fulfillment, that's a lot.
Yep.
Because there's a whole lot that comes along with the paperwork. Exactly. If you are the type who's saying, well, it's only paperwork ain't gonna change.
Right.
That's I would love you just to say, and that's a lie too.
Yep.
She knows it and you know it. So both of y'all lying to each other in different ways about the same thing.
Exactly. And if half of you dudes who got 97 cents in your pocket, stop thinking somebody a gold digger.
Not all
and
women
get your emotional support out.
They're all some, but not all women.
Yeah,
this has been a great podcast.
Man, we should have talked about Russell Wilson because he dealt with the corniness of this marriage.
Your man is a goofy who came to his house and put his business in the street.
Exactly. He sat there and talked about this man at the time, but he wasn't with his family. I said, neither was you. You was at my house.
How you at my house
and
without your family?
He ain't even
a bird dude that nobody cared about came to Russell and Sierra house and
talk
about
how
he ain't got his family.
Man, I was like, you was at this man. Please. The man invited you to his house, and this is how you get on. After this was 8 years ago, 7 years ago, and you the show only claim the fam. But
you
majority of y'all think Russell corny because y'all don't know what stability look like.
Nah, I don't think that man corny, man.
Look, that man ain't corny.
That man handling his business.
Right. You want I did ask Mary Russell.
I don't even think that most men think that Russell corny.
They don't.
I think what they actually resent is Sierra not being who they wanted her to be, who they made her out to be. After she had that baby by future. When we have branded a woman as unworthy, they branded her a man at one point.
Yes.
We branded her and we marked her when she was supposed to be one of Future's castaways. And the fact that she actually won and she came up, they resent the person who helped her make that happen, even though she was contributing to that relationship as much as Russell was. Yes. Because we don't need the gape-mouthed white girl that Russell went with on the draft night.
Right. we come back home, Russell.
You know what I'm saying? I think they resent that Russell, in a sense, in their own minds at least, validated a woman that was supposed to have been given the scarlet letter and cast away. And a part of the reason that they're seeing Russell as having saved her is because they don't see what she contributes to his life as well, to see that they are both contributing equally to that relationship in their own ways.
And he's kind of viewed as a nice guy, and as opposed to like Future, who's a very you know.
But see, that
there's not a man who's criticizing Russell that would want Future to date their daughter instead of
exactly
and nobody gave Future no slack, but it's messed up because as men, the men are the one who tearing Russell down.
But think about it. The reason they tearing like the Sierra down, because a lot of men are looking at the fact that, okay, you're one of Future's baby mamas, right? So that already diminishes you. So people need to look at who they're having children with. Because right now, them ones with Stephon Diggs or whatever his name is.
Diggs,
I said, when men looking at it, they're like, you ain't even special because he done nutted, he done went raw 2-3 times. We done got 2 babies by him this year.
Yeah, but in the meanwhile, your son is calling the other man daddy.
Exactly. And that's the thing about it. It's like you're looking at him because you're like, oh, you know, well, Future pick you, so you ain't nothing. So when a quality, and when a quality type of man pick her, then you forgetting she was a quality broad. That was the whole reason why he did the whole lying thing. Like, I'm going to marry you. He didn't know he wasn't ready to get married, but I'm glad they had the sense enough before it went to that space.
Right.
And so for her to get what they think is a good life, not after you not been hold out. So they in their mind said that's the problem.
If Russell Wilson, rather not Russell,
that's
a whole other predator.
Right.
If Russell Wilson had run through Sierra, he would be respected by the men who currently think he's corny.
He would be cool.
Because they don't see themselves.
But the fact that he married her and he said, and God told him not even sleep with this woman. Like it was about them building a relationship mentally, spiritually.
Right. You know, I don't understand sometimes the psyche, you know, because Sierra was dating Bow Wow.
Yeah.
And it's alleged that they broke up because she wouldn't give him.
But you date what you're around.
But then she got with Future, who got multiple baby mamas.
But you date
and you busted over.
You get used to what you think about how many I was raised with this type of environment, and we think that's what a man, if we don't know any better, is.
Right.
And then once we learn, oh wait a minute, this is quality. Just like if somebody raised with their pants sagging all the time. I used to, when me and my ex was married, our kids, we would go to our places and we would see these men with their pants down, the hair,
Right.
their daughter like 5, stand them dead in their booty, and then I said she's gonna grow up and think that's what that is. That's her example. So whereas my daughter didn't see that with her father. So we are their first community. So by me being my son's first community, I'm his example of what women are.
Right.
So and their dad. So when you see this, so Sierra was around this Atlanta culture. That's the Atlanta culture. And then here go my man Seahawks with the pretty hair apparently, because they be dogging him for his hair, putting mousse in his hair.
Right.
I said he came through with a different mindset, and then she was ready because here you've been exposed to toxic enough, and you're like, let me get my mindset.
Yeah.
She was ready. She was like, oh, this ain't normal. This ain't what I need to keep doing. One day Cardi gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? The same thing, and be like, this ain't shit. This ain't it.
Yeah.
Because once you realize and you're ready, like, oh, this is what I knew, but this is not right.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you got to be ready, because a lot of men, they're not ready for quality. They
Right.
still down there, like you said, pulling mud after they not dried the well up.
Yep.
They pulling
I mean,
mud.
and it's very interesting that Nick Cannon don't get the same.
Right?
And
his baby mama's sorry.
Now let us be clear. Before Nick Cannon started having all these babies, what was his reputation? Being corny.
There you go.
Yep.
Boom.
Remember, he got engaged, 2 or 3 times. Nick Cannon was a married man. This right here, your narcissism developed because you let women who will let you play in their face, and they want to play with you.
And suddenly men stop calling you corny when you start being a.
One minute you got the
they
turban on
still
your
call
head.
him corny for the raps. For
Right?
the music.
One minute he got a
for
turban.
the raps.
And next minute he like, oh no, I'm a
Dang,
narcissist.
so you were one of those men?
No, because I can't rap.
He got the turban.
All right, we got to
and
leave
then
it there,
he
y'all.
narcissist.
We got to leave it there. This was a great discussion.
Yes, it was.
I definitely want to do this again. Like, we should definitely try to do this
His
again.
brother back up on.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for coming on.
I had to pull him out the gutter.
Yeah.
I had to clean him out.
Yeah.
I had to clean him out them social media streets and be like, hey, can you come be on?
All right.
But no, before
Well,
we
yeah,
wrap, though,
before we wrap, just
man,
kind of
plug yourself where they can reach out to you in social medias and everything, man.
Oh man, you can see me cross platforms. Sunnmachaux.com, of course, is the easy one. SUNNMCHEAUX.com, or it's just at Sunnmachaux at Instagram, TikTok for however long. I don't know what that. For however long,
the white man shut it down.
Just at Sunnmachaux, and you can find me. You can Google me, and I appreciate you following me on any of these platforms. And we keep the conversation going.
That's what's up. And Dr. Pearson, tell them, boy, how's the book tour coming along?
Oh,
How's
it is
going?
great. I'm not doing any more this year. The next one will be in Toronto at Black Ski Weekend. They're celebrating their
Toronto.
29th
That's
year.
what's up.
Yes,
Boom.
this will be my second time being a speaker at Black Ski Weekend. And so y'all need to come out. Y'all need to come out.
Okay,
Y'all need to come out.
Congratulations.
International with it.
I stay there, but but yeah, that'll be the next one. It's in Toronto in January, and then February is Charleston and Charlotte.
And the name of the book?
Oh, the name of the book is Why You Shouldn't Eat from Some White People, and
All right.
it's self-explanatory. And I love y'all as usual.
For sure.
once again, I'm
out
Brooks,
And I'm Hendrix.
and we out. Peace.
Peace.